everyone and welcome to our Sunday Addiction dito sa HR Cafe, Trabaho, Buhay at Iba Pa. Siyempre, napakaganda na naman po ng ating linggo dahil it's another day for us to learn more about our chosen profession, our chosen vocation. Kaya dapat excited tayo. Don't forget to tag your friends. Let us know where you are watching from. And of course, share the learning that we're going to have today. So huwag mahiya, i-share po ang ating streaming for today para naman yung mga friends ninyo at mga nasa network nyo ay meron din makuha na magandang aral for today. It's another Sunday for all of us. If it's your first time joining the HR Cafe, let me introduce to you the people behind HR Cafe. So of course, hindi mawawala ang ating Coach Darwin Rivers, a multi-awarded HR executive with more than 20 years of progressive leadership and management experience working with top Fortune 500 multinational companies. Of course, he is also the founder and president of the Philippines HR Group, the largest Facebook group for Philippine HR professionals. If you're not yet a member, nako, it's the best time to join dahil marami kayong matututunan. We are already at 250,000 members and growing. Kung tama yung huling bilang ko, dahil araw-araw marami po tayong pinapapasok sa Philippines HR Group. He is also a certified life coach, public speaker, and motivational speaker and HR consultant. Siyempre, hindi rin po mawawala si Mentor John Bernard Ordonez Caasi or Mentor Burns, an HR L&D practitioner and educator. He is an online content creator and social media influencer, best known for being the radio broadcaster and creator of Unboxing Catholicism podcast and Facebook Live. He is also a motivational speaker and financial wellness consultant. At syempre, hindi rin po mawawala si Mentor Tina Ko, ang Operations and HR leader with broad local and overseas experiences, general manager of a retail company, and the online content creator and blogger of TinaInManila.com. Mentor Tina, how's your Sunday going so far?
Doing very well. I'm very happy to be with everyone here today, and I'd like to greet si Sunny Lagasca and everyone else who is great. If you are in the show, please leave your name, where you are in the Philippines or overseas, and which company you are in, so we can give you a shout out to the show. I do feel that our topic today is super relevant. It's all about integrity, and it's not an easy topic to tackle with, and I'm very glad that we can present to you a very special guest speaker to really validly talk about this topic kasi napaka-importante siya.
True, correct. And of course, yours truly, I am Mentor Rona Florentino. I've been an HR practitioner for more than 2 decades now. I am the president and CEO of Uprush Social Geekers. I'm also a public speaker and an HR consultant. Naku, ilang linggo din po ako nawala dito sa HR Cafe. So, I am very happy to be here once again. Ayan. Again, if you are watching here, please don't forget to tag your friends. Let us know where you're watching from. And wag din kalimutang i-share ang ating streaming for today. We are live in Facebook group, Philippines HR Group. We are also live at our Facebook page ng HR Cafe, and we are also live in our Philippines HR Group YouTube channel. Ayan po. Huwag niyo po kalimutang mag-subscribe dyan para wala po kayong mamimiss na episodes for today. Kung meron po mga past episodes na gusto niyo makita, nandun po yan sa ating YouTube channel. Okay? Ayan po. At syempre pa, ang ating pong para po sa ating mga bagong tutambay dito sa HR Cafe. Sino nga ba si HR Cafe at ano nga ba ang ginagawa ni HR Cafe? So HR Cafe is here to provide timely news and updates, impart knowledge and experience that are value-adding and beneficial to our audience, discuss problems, issues, and challenges, and provide answers and resolutions with the help of our guest resource speaker. We are also here to discuss new technologies, especially in the area of HR, tools and processes, as well as industry best practices. We are also a virtual job board and we do job-related announcements. So if you do have any job opening, please send it to us para ma-flash namin and we can let all the subscribers know that you are looking for a particular candidate for any job opening that you might have. Okay? We are also here to bridge understanding between employees and employers and provide inspiration and motivation dahil Monday na naman bukas at kailangan natin ng energy for that. At syempre, hindi mabubuo ang isang episode ng HR Cafe if we don't go with our wow quote for the week. And for this week, our quote is coming from Bob Marley. Ang sabi niya, the greatness of a man is not in how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively. Ayan. Mentor Tina, what can you say about this famous quote from Bob Marley?
When we were born, we came with nothing, and when we leave, we will also leave with nothing. And I'm a Christian. So my strong belief talaga is that we only have this lifetime to make an impact to the world and the people around us. I'm not a firm believer of reincarnation or second chances. So I strongly believe that given that we're given this short span of life, we need to do what we can to make an impact in the world. A lot of people believe that success comes in wealth, power, beauty, and influence, right? But we've seen so many people who are wealthy, powerful, influential, and beautiful, and they've not ended up very well. In fact, those who are most unhappiest are those who are the richest. Iniisip mo na sa dami na lang pera, ba't ang dami pa rin na lang problema? Kasi 'di ba na lahat naman ng problema masosolusyon ng pera? The happiest people I've met are those who have taken good care of those that are around them. Good family men whose kids still love and respect them even at their old age. Good workers na alam nila sa loob ng kumpanya nila at sa labas wala silang kasalanan sa iba. Good people na alam nila na pagdating ng panahon, at their funeral, there is nobody who will come out and say na nagkasala sila sa tao. A lot of people believe na kung sakaling makakalusot, bakit hindi? Right? If makadiskarte ka, bakit hindi? And I think these type of people live without principle. And it's crucial talaga, especially in life, which has ebbs and flows, ups and downs. You need to really live a principle and purposeful life. And in order to do that, dapat alam mo kung ano yung tama at mali. Because if everything is arbitrary, yung pwedeng ito, lots of the world now is becoming gray. It's no longer black and white, 'di ba? But if you lose that what is true and what is untrue, what is good and what is bad, right? What is maganda and what is not maganda. If we lose the definition of that, nabablur natin. Kasi ini-excuse natin yung mga kapalpakan natin as pwede na, then what's life for us, right? And I think deep inside, pwede nating lokohin ang ibang tao, ang mga kasama natin sa buhay. Pwede pa rin nating lokohin ang sarili natin. Up until the time that we're actually in a hospital bed and in our deathbed, right? But at the end of the day, we all know na one day when we pass, we will be held accountable for all our actions. Somebody there will ask us, ano bang ginawa mo sa buhay mo? Right? And then the question is, ano yung i-report mo? Marami ka bang i-report? Pwede mo ba sabihin, ay, alam mo, yumaman ako. Or parang, naging presidente ako. Or naging very influential ako. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to be accountable to our actions, it's not about what we do for ourselves. Because it's very self-serving eh. It's more on what we have done for others and what we've done for God. Yun talaga yung bibilangan natin. And pag sa akin lang ha, if ang binibilang mo lang ay yung pera mo, kagandahan mo, at ang impluwensya mo, kulang eh. Hindi ka papasa. Pero kung ang binibilang mo ay yung mga nagagawa mo sa mga kapwa mo, that's such a parang very, very beautiful life. So kaya sabi, totoo nga ng sinabi ng Biblia, whoever wants to go first always ends up last. And the one who always puts themselves last ends up first. And it's a very good reminder today to have Miss Daisy Lacuanan-Callanta to talk more about this. How about you, Rona?
Napaka-ganda na ito ang topic natin ng linggo. Given that Sunday for most of us, especially for Christians, this is actually our Sabbath day and this is our day of worship. So napakaganda na ito yung topic natin. I'd like to interpret this quote from an HR point of view. I've seen a lot of HR people, not a lot, but I've seen some HR people that they are in it for the money. They think that becoming HR managers, HR directors, and everything gets them a lot of money, gets them a lot of adulation, a lot of fame. But if your aim is that, dun nagkakaroon ng problema eh. Wala nang mas sasaya pa at wala nang mas masarap sa pakiramdam kesa doon sa fact na you can walk anywhere with your head held high because you know that you are doing the right thing even when no one is looking. It's not about the money. It's not about the title. It's not about how many people like you, do not like you, follow you, do not follow you, respect you, or whatever. It's all about doing the right thing even when no one is looking. And as HR professionals, that is the one mantra that we should always have. Doing the right thing even when no one is looking. If we do that, regardless of you're an HR assistant, director, manager, regardless of the salary that you are getting, even the smallest accomplishments, it feels good. Kasi alam natin na ginawa natin yun with the best intentions. So, yun yung sinasabi dito ni Bob Marley. Wala yan sa kung gaano kakayaman, gaano kataas ang posisyon mo, gaano kalaki ang sweldo mo. Kung wala kang integrity, when you're doing things that are not correct, not right, okay, when you are taking advantage of other people, kahit gaano pa kalaki ang sweldo mo, there's always that hole in you. Nakahanapin mo na parang may kulang and you'll try to go after so many things but you will not feel content. Because deep inside you know, you're not doing something correctly, you're not doing something properly, you're doing things na backhanded, you're taking advantage of people. So, bilang HR professionals, dapat natin iisipin palagi yan. Hindi yan, wala yan sa title, wala sa sweldo, nandun yan sa pag ako ba ay walang nakakakita. Gagawin ko ba yung tama? At sakali bang maipit ako dahil may ginawa akong mali? Aaminin ko ba na nagkamali ako? Integrity comes with accountability. And when you have that, when you feel that, when you do things because that's the right thing to do, nandun yung sense of satisfaction, nandun yung pride in your work, and nandun yung contentment, and nandun yung confidence na no matter what, kahit saan ka mapunta, dahil alam mong tama yung ginagawa mo, there's very little self-doubt. So, yun naman yung take ko dyan. Ayan. Kayo po mga tambay dito sa HR Cafe, what can you say about today's wow quote for the week? Let us know. Put it in our comment section. We actually have someone here na nag-comment dito. Hindi ko lang masyado makikita.
Salazar Louis said, the greatest gift you can give to your children and family when you leave this world is a good legacy and people knew you for your kindness. So she said, lucky for us to hear those from the mentors. So there.
Nakakatuwa. Ayan. So, whatever it is, how does this wow quote for the week resonate with you? Let us know. Put it in our comment section. And para naman mabasa natin at malaman naman natin kung ano sa tingin ninyo about our wow quote for the week. At syempre, kung meron tayong wow quote for the week, meron din tayong HR question for the week. And this week, ang pinakamaraming tanong po sa Philippines HR Group is all about unused leave credits. Dahil alam naman natin na Q4 to first part of the following year, eto na talaga yung nagkakaroon ng mga conversion ng leave credits. So, ang ating perennial question pagdating sa mga leave credits, are unused leave credits convertible to cash? Mentor Tina, what's your take on this?
Parang ang tagal na kasi ng policy na to, decades old na. And it's quite surprising for me that people are still asking the same question, especially now in November. Marami bang gusto mag-resign ng November kung kaya't bakit sila nagtatanong palagi nito, di ba? Kasi you wonder bakit, kasi in every month, may talagang bagong pakulo sa Philippine HR group, which is why it's a wonderful Facebook group to try. But ang dami I can understand 13th month pay, pero namin nagtatanong about leave credits ngayon sa PHRG. Why do you think so, Rona?
Yun, tama ka doon, Mentor Tina, kasi nga malapit na magtapos at may mga conversions at may mga resignations. Pero pro tip, kung magre-resign po kayo.
Bakit sila magre-resign ngayon? Kasi pag nag-resign kayo ngayon, yung pro rata 13th month pay mo, hindi mo makukuha ng December 24. Makukuha mo siya with your final pay, which will be released 30 days from clearance.
Correct.
Which is 30 days from now, kasi kailangan mo mag-render, plus 30 more days, so 60 more days. So what's the point of resigning? Do you really hate your job that much that hindi mo kayang magstay hanggang Pasko at yung Christmas party, Christmas bonus, you know, that sort of thing. Kasi if you resign, ang dami mong kasabay na nagre-resign. Mahirap maghanap ng trabaho sa January, ha? Magaling maghanap ng trabaho sa December. Anyway, but to answer the HR question of the week, guys, The law only mandates 5 days service incentive leave that you get for every year of service. After every year of service, you do not get any leaves pagka regular mo. Okay? You also don't get it kasi pumasok ka. What is by law is you only get it after 1 whole year of service. So kunyari nag-start ka ng February 1. Pagdating mo ng January 31, madadagdagan ka ng 5 days of service incentive leave, and that can be convertible to cash. So I've
Correct.
had people na sa dami ng holidays na pinapasukan nila, sobrang dami na nilang holidays. So ang ginagawa na lang na, kino-convert na lang nila yung service incentive leave. Kasi pera din talaga yon. And then for example, nag-resign ka, right? Tapos hindi mo pa naubos yung service incentive leave mo, you can convert that dapat to cash and kasama yun sa final pay.
Correct.
Ma'am, paano ba naman ang holiday pay and sickness leave? Ulitin ko ha, by law, huwag tayong makulit, by law, 5 days service incentive leave. Gusto mong gamitin para magbakasyon, magpahinga, manood ng concert, mag-graduate, kahit ano, pwede mo siyang gamitin. Right? But sickness and holiday is dependent on company policy. So don't ask the Philippine HR group on how your leave policy is. Kasi ikaw lang at ang boss mo at ang HR ninyo ang nakakaalam ng policy ng company. If the company says non-convertible, it's not convertible. If the company says that you can only use sick leave pag may medical certificate, you cannot use your sick leave for vacation leaves. Kasi may tao nagsasabi na, kasi sobra naman yung sick leave namin. Hindi ko nagagamit, sayang naman kung mag-lapse. So gagamitin ko na lang siya pang holiday, pwede ba? Ang tatanungin mo, hindi kami. Ang tatanungin mo, yung HR ninyo. Or, better yet, basahin ninyo yung company handbook ninyo. Kasi dapat nandun nakasulat yun. A lot of the Philippine HR members are always saying, pero kasi sa dati kong kumpanya, ganito di dun ka magtrabaho, di ba? Bakit ka umalis? Or sinabi mo na, sabi ng friend ko, ganito. Unless yung friend mo ay yung may-ari or yung HR manager, your friend is not qualified to give that advice. And for me, if you na-disappoint po tayo dahil hindi natin nakuha yun, wag tayo masyadong magtabog. Kasi it just shows na hindi natin binasa yung company policy. Or hindi tayo nagtanong ng company policy bago tayo nag-sign ng contract. Kasi it's not, wala namang pumipilit para sa'yo na magtrabaho sa company na yon. Pero since nagtatrabaho ka na doon, wag na tayo masyadong mag-discarte. Pero, kung gusto mo, pwede ka magtayo ng sarili mong kumpanya. And kung anong gusto mo sa kumpanya mo ngayon, gawin mo sa kumpanya mo later on. I'm not being sarcastic, I'm just being real. So I hope that everyone would, again, 5 days service incentive leave per year of service. So kunyari, pag naka 3 years ka na, basta pagkatapos ng anniversary mo, may 5 days ka pa, 5 days service incentive leave So may 5 days service incentive leave ka tuwing work anniversary mo. O yun. Rona, what do you think? And should it be continuous 1 year or paano po yun? How do you compute the 5 days?
Actually, it's aggregate. Hindi siya kailangang continuous. I am looking at the service incentive leave right now. So in definition ng at least 1 year of service, basta service of not less than 12 months, whether continuous or broken. So kahit na broken yan, putol-putol, basta't naka 1 year, considered as 1 calendar year, yan ay dapat nabibigyan na sila ng 5 SILs. Now, if hindi nagbibigay ang company nyo ng SIL, Service Incentive Leaves, dahil meron na silang VL and SL, okay? Hindi na sila required na mag-convert to cash nung mga unused leave credits. I think this is something that most people get confused with kasi ang thinking nila is pwedeng magbigay si company ng more than the 5 SILs, pero 5 doon kailangan i-convert pa din. Hindi po. Ang kailangan lang i-convert by law is yung service incentive leaves. And this is very clear in the omnibus rules implementing the labor code. Na unused service incentive leaves, yun lang talaga ang kino-convert. Yung companies na nagbibigay ng, let's say, 10 BL, 10 SL, hindi na sila required kasi by law, pag tinignan natin yung spirit of the law, madalas sinasabi to nila Sir June Mendoza at Sir June Aspacio, pag tinitingnan natin yung spirit of the law, hindi aim nung batas na pahirapan yung mga companies. Nagbibigay na nga sila ng mas marami, so it would be illogical na pahirapan pa yung company by requiring them now to convert kung ano man yung hindi nagagamit. So dahil nagbibigay na sila ng mas marami, hindi na ngayon sila sakop nung nandun sa ating batas, kahit hindi sila mag-convert, okay lang yun, walang problema. So yun po yung tatandaan natin ha. Pero tama po yung sinabi ni Mentor Tina, bilang mga empleyado, dapat tinitignan po natin yung ating mga policies, procedures, especially during orientation, dapat natatanong natin yan. And even before pa, during application pa lang, dapat nagre-research na tayo at pag tinatanong tayo noong ating interviewer kung may any questions tayo, ito yung mga bagay na dapat tinatanong na natin. Ano po ba yung mga benefits? Ano po ba yung policy ninyo? We should not be afraid to ask those kinds of questions para right before pa lang, alam na natin kung ano yung may expect natin. Para pag pumasok tayo, hindi nagkakagulatan. Let's also remember that companies have management prerogative and what one company offers may not be the same offer that another company has. So dapat chine-check natin yan at tinitingnan po natin. Okay? Ayan po. Okay. Now, let us know as well what you think about our HR question for the week. And I hope that it has clarified yung mga usual questions ng ating mga members about conversion ng leave credit. So, yung 5 SIL, unused SIL, yun lang po talaga ang nako-convert. At dahil napag-usapan na rin lang naman ng mga leave, naku, may magandang balita po tayo for 2023. Dahil inamend po yung ating Proclamation number 42, series of 2022. It was amended by Proclamation number 99 at mukhang balik holiday economics po tayo. Yung recent po na proclamation from the Office of the President has moved most of the, not most, but all of the holidays that fell on a Sunday, it was moved to the nearest Monday. Kung matatandaan po natin sa ating pong batas, ay mayroong kapangyarihan ang Presidente na i-move yung mga holidays na nag-fall on a Sunday to the nearest Monday. So magandang balita po ito sa mga gusto ng long weekend. This is it guys, long weekend po tayo dahil yung ating mga Sunday na legal holidays or regular holidays ay na-move na po to the nearest Monday. At ang kagandahan po nito ay meron po tayong ibang mga special working days ngayong taon na to na next year ay binalik na sila sa pagiging special non-working day. So maganda po ito, makakapagplano tayo sa mga gustong mag-unwind every now and then, mas marami-rami po tayong chances for unwinding sa susunod na taon. Ayan, at syempre po, isa pang magandang balita, nag-open na po si SSS nung kanilang Calamity Loan Assistance Program or CLAP para po sa mga SSS members affected by yung ating pong tropical storm Paeng. So ito po ay inopen ng November 17. Ito po ay magra-run hanggang February po. Okay, so kung kayo po ay interesado na mag-take advantage ng ating Calamity Loan Assistance Program, naka-open na po ito noon pa pong 17. Sino-sino po ang po pwedeng mag-avail po nito? Kung kayo po ay merong 36 monthly contributions, 6 of which is within the 12-month period prior to the month of filing or prior to November, kung November po kayo magpa-file, dapat po meron kayong 6 posted monthly contributions din kung kayo naman po ay self-employed, voluntary, or non-working spouse. Dapat resident po kayo doon sa calamity declared area at dapat po kayo po ay hindi pa nag-grant ng kahit na anong final benefit at wala kayong naka-loan restructuring program. So kung kayo po ay nag-avail ng mga condonation programs ng SSS, unfortunately hindi na po kayo makakapag-avail nung CLAP na inopen ni SSS. Ito pong application nito ay po pwede po idaan sa my.sss, hindi na kailangan pang pumunta sa SSS branch, online na po ang gagawin ninyo. So the loan amount will be equivalent to 1 month salary, 1 month salary credit, computed based on the average last 12 monthly salary credits rounded to the nearest thousand, or kung ano man po yung in-apply yung amount, whichever is lower. So sa makatuwid, ang pinakamataas pong amount na po pwede nyo i-loan is nasa 20,000. Of course, 24 monthly amortizations naman po ulit ito. Magsisimula po on the second month following the date of the approval. Meron po itong, winave na rin po yung service fee na 1%, pero tandaan po natin na prorated po yung interest. So kung na-approve po kayo today at ang inyo pong pagbayad ay 2 months from on the second month from today, yun pong tinakbong isang buwan na yun ay meron pong prorated interest na kinocompute po doon at ibabawas po doon sa loan proceeds. Okay? So yan po ang latest from SSS. Saka sakali po kayo ay kasama doon sa mga affected areas noong nagkaroon po tayo ng Typhoon Paeng. Hindi po lahat, hindi po ito pang buong Pilipinas. As far as NCR is concerned, ang pumasok lang po ay Muntinlupa City. Ayan. So the rest po usually nasa mga bandang Visayan region po ang covered po nito. Okay? Para po sa karagdagang kaalaman, pwede pong puntahan ang Facebook page ng SSS or ang kanila pong website. Okay? At nire-remind din po ni SSS ang ating pong mga members, hindi na po kailangan pa na pumunta sa branch. You can actually stay safe at home and transact with SSS online. Make sure that you have access to your my.sss. Make sure also that you have already enrolled a bank account with your my.sss account para mas madali po ang processing ng inyong mga benefits. Kung kayo po ay nahihirapang i-access ang inyong pong my.sss account, yun po, pwede po kayong pumunta sa pinakamalapit na SSS branch para matulungan po kayo. My.sss is available for both employees and employers. Okay. Syempre po, si Virtual Pag-ibig, Mentor Tina.
Yes, Pag-ibig is now boasting of their virtual mobile app for Pag-ibig where you can actually download for free and you can check out your different contributions and status of your different loans. Alam mo, Rona, mas gusto ko sana na meron talaga tayo for one di ba? SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig. Yun talaga yung dream ko. If I say it, it will happen. So hopefully, there will come a time na isang app na lang talaga for all. Kasama na rin po ang ating pagka-ID. So that's what I think. Next. We'd also like to encourage everyone to get your Pag-ibig loyalty card because it serves as a secondary ID that you can use for many things like opening a bank account or leaving it at the store. Remember, from October 19 to 2022 to April 18, 2023, you can use that Pag-ibig loyalty card so that to avail exclusive treats from McDonald's, and you can have a 250 peso discount on McDonald's party and business meeting bookings or 5% off on minimum food purchase of 200. Sa oras ng inflation ngayon, napaka-importante po yung makatipid tayo. So it's really kind of cool that Pag-ibig offers this type of benefit. You can also get a 10% discount for a minimum service fee of 300 for shoe repair, bag repair, luggage repair, key duplication, clothing alterations, rubber stamp, and more at Mr. Quickie. Next. What's more, PhilHealth is also online na, and you can remit your employee contributions at https://eprs01.philhealth.gov.ph. You can also avail of e-wallets and credit card to pay for your PhilHealth contribution. So mas pinabilis at pinabadali ang pagbabayad ng employers gamit ng EPRS sa PhilHealth. For everyone who chooses not to provide PhilHealth, sinasabi ko nga sa tao, anong use pa ng PhilHealth na yun? Kasi parang nagtaas pa ng 1% differential sa paghuhulog namin this year. Bakit di nila sinabi sa atin noong January pa lang? All I can say is this, PhilHealth is insurance, medical insurance. It's not big insurance. It doesn't cover all medical bills. However, it's still a very big help and will reduce your hospital bills when something happens to you. And magkano lang talaga ang hinuhulog natin? Napakaliit lang, 2% lang po. Napakaliit lang talaga noon versus sa mga insurance na kinukuha ninyo. At promise talaga sa buong buhay mo, maibabalik din talaga sa'yo yung hinulog mo sa PhilHealth. Kasi sa oras ng pagkakasakit, it's kind of nice to also have that type of additional protection and savings for us. Next. World COPD, Chronic Obstructive Pulmonary Disease Awareness Day ang November 16, 2022. So, PhilHealth promotes this and says na, oy, wag tayo tigilin natin paninigarilyo, kumonsulta sa doktor pag meron tayong paghihirap sa paghinga, mag-exercise, be careful about secondhand smoke, lalong-lalo na sa mga smokers, at kumain ng tamang pagkain na may vitamin C para maiwasan po yun. Next. Benepisyo sa PhilHealth para sa chronic emphysematous bronchitis. Mahirap siyang i-pronounce. Pero pag meron ka noon, you'll just have a good surprise. Uy, may bawas pa lang average of 9,000 to 12,200 from your hospital bill. Not bad, just because you have PhilHealth. So again, always keep your MDR form email to your account para just in case na na-hospital ka, all you have to do is forward that to a friend and they can print it out for you and bring that pag magbabayad ka na ng hospital bill. Kasi malaki din po ang tulong pag ikay nagkasakit ng asthma, allergic bronchitis, or chronic emphysematous bronchitis. Yan. Next. World Diabetes Day naman ng November 14. So ang diabetes ay isa sa pangunahing sanhi ng kamatayan ng bansa because we really love sugar and we really love our pork. So far, the PhilHealth benefit package para sa diabetes ranges from 2,800 to 15,800 depending on certain conditions. Again, sa dami ng mga diseases na nakocover sa PhilHealth, instead of memorizing them, mag-print na lang tayo ng MDR para pag sakit natin, dala-dala na lang po natin yon sa pagbabayad and then that's it na po. Okay? Rona, let's read the wow quote of the week of si ano? Go.
Yes. Ayan. Sabi po ng ating isang member po sa Philippines HR Group, the way you lead your community, even if you don't have that position title to do so, would be measured by how many people see you as the go-to person, despite the fact that there are other authorities, experts, or leaders other than you. You will be surprised people knocking at your door, messaging you, previous colleagues reaching out to you because they see you as a person of integrity and a person who is wealthy of love and kindness. Yan po yung mga bagay-bagay na walang katumbas pagdating sa walang monetary value. Yung respetong ibibigay sa inyo ng mga taong nakapaligid sa inyo at yung kumbaga pag punta sa inyo dahil nakikita nila na kayo yung makakapagbigay ng hinahanap nila kasagutan. Wala pong katumbas yun. Pero you can only do that if you have integrity. Ayan. At syempre pa, remind lang po namin na kasi nabanggit na rin naman ni Mentor Tina about doon sa sinisingil po ni PhilHealth. Sakasakali pong magkagulatan na naman po, meron pong nakaambang pagtaas si PhilHealth by next year. So 4.5% na po by next year. Bago po kayo mataranta, bago magalit kay PhilHealth, ipapaalala lang po natin na lahat po itong mga increase na to ay 2019 pa po in-announce way before the pandemic. So matagal na pong in-announce, dire-diretso po yung pagtaas na yan hanggang sa 2024. So by 2024, nasa 5% na po ang PhilHealth. The same is true with SSS. So last year, 2022 we had an increase, or 2021 dire-diretso din po yan, every other year meron din pong increase si SSS. Nakapaloob po yan doon sa Social Security Act of 2018 para hindi po tayo magkagulatan. Guys, make it a habit na whenever a circular has been released by SSS, by PhilHealth, and even by Pag-ibig, get a copy of it, familiarize yourself with it para hindi po tayo nagkakagulatan. Ayan. At syempre, kung kayo po ay stressed out na sa trabaho, po pwede namang mag-unwind. Pwede po tayong pumunta sa El Puerto Marina Beach Resort and Vacation Club. They have one in Pangasinan. Meron din po tayo sa Boracay. This is a perfect place for you pag kayo po ay gusto nyong mag-disconnect at gusto nyo talaga ng peace, tranquility, quiet. Yan, pinakamaganda pong puntahan yan dahil talagang makakapagpahinga po kayo pag nandyan kayo. You can also be closer to nature dahil ito po talaga ay malayo sa kabihasnan at kayo po ay talagang makakapagpahinga. Ayan, huwag nating kakalimutan magpahinga dahil very important na tayo po mismo ay hindi na-burn out. At syempre pa po, bukod po kay El Puerto Marina, Philippines HR Group actually has a partnership with Shield, eShield. So ito po ay meron po tayong exclusive discount para po sa ating mga members at taga-subaybay ng HR Cafe. You get 15% exclusive discount when you avail of eShield for your company. So you can register at www.shield.me/PH-HR. So si eShield po is a partner of the Philippines HR Group and the HR Cafe in promoting a healthy lifestyle para po sa inyong mga empleyado. So si eShield po, actually, yan po ay may bibigay sa inyo na wearable solution para po siyang Fitbit na relo na po pwedeng i-monitor po ang inyong mga activities at ang inyong health para mas magabayan niyo po yung mga empleyado ninyo kung paano nila po pwedeng pangalagaan ang kanilang sarili. So if you're looking for a good way to take care of the health of your employees, eShield is the right right way to go about it, or one of the ways that you can go about it. Okay? At syempre po, kung kayo po ay merong gustong i-promote, you'd like to partner with us, or you would like to sponsor an episode, please reach out to us dun po sa ating Facebook page sa HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay at Iba Pa. Or you can also email us at darwinrivers@yahoo.com para po kami ay mabigyan po namin kayo ng details kung paano po kayo po pwedeng mag-sponsor ng episode po ng Philippines HR Group. Ayan, Mentor Tina, since tayo po ay nakarating na sa exciting part ng ating episode for today, would you care to introduce ang ating pong napakagandang speaker for today?
Yes, it's a pleasure for me to introduce Miss Daisy Lacuanan-Callanta, who is going to talk about HR standing with integrity. Miss Daisy is ranked number 2 of the Philippines' top 30 leaders of LinkedIn in 2022. She is a top leader for integrity of the Philippines' top 30 leaders of LinkedIn again in the same year. She is a top 100 Filipinos to follow on LinkedIn in 2019, the president and CEO of Jesus Hugs Ministries, Certified Professional in Human Resources, CPHR of Circa Logica Group, Certified International Facilitator of the Haggai International, Certified International Facilitator of Lead Like Jesus, and a book author of God is Bigger Than Autism. We'd like to welcome Miss Daisy to talk about HR standing with integrity.
Blessed afternoon, everybody. So nice to be back, Tina, and so nice to have Rona finally with us. I think the last time wala siya, no? So happy. Girl power ito.
Yes, we'll be on the background as you make a presentation. And for everyone who is watching, please leave your comments and your questions on the chat box so that we will answer them right after the presentation.
Okay, so let's do this. By the way, I'd like to do a shout out. I think Sunny Lagasca is joining us today. So, ayan si Sunny, love ko yan eh. Kasi Sunny has been under my team when I was in Saitel before. And truly, one of the things I loved about Sunny is yung humility to be mentored all the time. So even if he doesn't need to call me boss after all these years, he still does it anyway out of respect. Same goes with Darwin. So magkakasama kami before Saitel. Anyway, para lang medyo light tayo ng konti. So I'm so happy that I'm back to talk about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. So let's start. So today's topic is about HR standing with integrity. Gaano ba nga ka-importante, no? I don't need to give you guys trivia because Tina has done wonders already in terms of introducing me. Pero trivia lang, no? During pandemic, the passion to actually cook and bake came about. So I am about to finish my certification also for pastry bake shop. So yan, magiging pastry chef na culinary. So, di ba, God is good? So, what am I trying to say? Always never stop, the passion to always learn and the passion to always try new things. Okay, so let's talk about integrity. Ayan. Siguro, no, parang medyo interactive. Magsisay hi ako sa mga the ones watching. I see people from Bacolod, from Iloilo, and other parts of in other parts of the Philippines. So welcome to PHRG and HR Cafe. So integrity, a lot of you HR practitioners would really want to actually ask, how important is this value for all of us to have? Diba? Lalo HR po tayo, napaka-importante pa po ba ng integrity, especially in a time like this? Does it really matter? And how our stand is, does it really matter? I love the quote of the week, no? The wow quote of the week that both Tina and Ron actually shared. Kasi talagang importante yung integrity because it is what you actually do. Your character when nobody else is looking. Ito yung dito nagiging sukatan. This is the measurement in terms of, will you still continue to do what is right even when no one is looking? And that is what makes up integrity. Importante nga ba ito sa HR? So let's see. I'll try to actually cut my talk short because I want a lot of participation in terms of Q&A. Gusto ko po maraming maging involved sa mga tanong sa buhay-buhay lalo ngayon kasi marami na pong naging naging evolution ang HR practice, especially after we have experienced the breakout of pandemic and still within the times of pandemic. Okay, so let's start. Bakit po, to me, personally, I think this is very relevant to talk about. Hindi naman po kasi na-antiquate ang integrity. Integrity is a value that is, I think, will last regardless. No? It will last forever. As long as there's people involved, it will always be a part of life. No? But why is it very important now in this particular season? Hindi ko po alam kung familiar kayo sa tinatawag na post-truth. Feel free to make a comment below, no? Kung alam nyo what it means to have experience in terms of post-truth era. Nandito na po tayo ngayon. Actually, we are in that era. We are in that season. Ano ba yung post-truth era, Daisy? So if you actually look at the, you look at the picture here, I don't know if you can see it, but if you could, try to look at it closer. Diba? So yung picture na to, there's a conversation that says, how do you know if a news story is true? Right? Tapos, di ba may sumagot? Ang sagot niya, if I, agree with it. Very dangerous yun, no? Because we are in a situation na ganun siya ngayon. People no longer try to validate what is truth, what is, kumbaga, within ethical and, integral standards. Ang ginagawa ng mga tao ngayon, kung feel ko, baka pwede, baka possibly totoo. Post-truth era is defined as a time when people are relating to or denoting circumstance in which objective facts are less influential. Ang sakit, no? Kasi sa HR, mga kapatid, and Sunny is here. I think Sunny was very kind enough to give a comment that says he has worked with me, and that was several, decades ago. And he already testifies that even from day one that he has worked with me, I've always reminded my team that integrity is the foundation of everything with regards to HR. And that never changed. So kahit nagkaroon na ng mga automations at work, kahit na nasa post-truth era, that remains to be, for me, a trait that is very important. So I'll give you some examples why it's very important. Diba? Halimbawa, humahawak ka ng kaso. You're in HR and you're supposed to actually decide whether a person is guilty or not. Very important ang integrity ng process na tinatawag nating administrative due process. Kasi you cannot base it on your bias, your perception, or your feeling. Diba? Dapat it has to be based in facts. Can you imagine how dangerous it would be like if HR practitioners will abandon this value of integrity and will be swayed, yung mapapadala ka sa majority opinion ng iba. Napakahirap nun eh. Are we called as HR to be popular, or are we called as HR to be the bearer of truth? So in a time where sobrang dami-daming information na pwedeng mapagkuwanan, sa mga dami ng tao na nagpapanggap na expert, if we're not very careful in terms of who we get our resources to, who we get our sources to, it will be very, very problematic for all of us. Bakit? Because HR is the frontline solution, frontline solver of ethical problems regarding business ethics and employees. So hindi po ibig sabihin that a person or an organization or a group of people, even a community, has been doing something for the longest of time, that it is the right way. So yan yung mga dapat tinatandaan natin. So are we supposed to make decisions based on fact? Or are we supposed to shape our decision based on the public opinion of others, especially when it is driven by emotion and personal beliefs? Mahirap po yun kasi ang personal beliefs natin iba-iba. So kung mag-iiba-iba po tayo ng personal beliefs, magkakaroon tayo ng problema kasi it will be subject now to a lot of liberal interpretation, kaya po nagkakaroon tayo ng problema. If you're an HR practitioner, you have to make sure that you validate, you value, and you consistently implement integrity in all the processes and policies that you come up with. So let's discuss it further para mas maintindihan. Okay, let's look at this picture. If you look at the, I don't know kung right nyo or left nyo, no? But in August 18, there was an FB page called I Am Cebuano who posted a photo of a road with the caption, "Under Construction." pag titingnan mo nga naman, and it went viral, it garnered a lot of likes. Alam mo naman tayo mga Pilipino, diba? If there's something good about the Philippines, diba? Talaga naman lahat tayo, we jump on into it already kasi we feel proud about our co-Filipino or the country in itself kung meron tayong milestone. So there were a lot of people really that were sharing this. Talagang nag-viral siya kasi proud sila. Pag tingnan mo nga naman talaga, mukha bang sa Pilipinas to? Talaga na bang umaano na tayo, lume-level up na? Kasi parang hindi naman ata ganito sa Pilipinas. And to think it is in Cebu, allegedly. Diba? Parang maraming nag-jump. Marami pa nga nagsabi, sana it is in the metro and things like that. So, this person, by the way, hindi nagpapakilala as tao, but rather an entity called I Am Cebuano, which, by the way, very dangerous kasi kung magkakalat ka ng isang bagay, kung mag-share ka from a resource such as this person, di ba sana mas maganda kung kilala mo yung person behind the ones reporting it or sharing it. Huwag kang basta-basta mag-share, di ba? Kasi this person allegedly claimed that this is an actual picture of a construction of a 74-kilometer Metro Cebu Expressway that connects Danao to Naga Toledo Road. O diba? Funny, fact check. It's false. Hindi po siya totoo because it's actually Shin-Tomei Expressway in Japan. Why am I actually sharing this particular example? Because in a post-truth era that we are into, now more than ever, mga kapatid, HR practitioner, our HR standing with integrity as a value in itself matters most. Hindi po siya na-outdate, hindi rin po siya na luluma. Mas lalo pong mas importante, HR integrity now. So what can we do? Well, dapat po, bilang HR practitioner, we also have to learn how to be responsible. Kasi a lot of people pass a load, pass a blame, diba? But we have to make sure that as an HR practitioner, when we make decisions in everything, because a lot of the business owners, a lot of the business partners, stakeholders that we work with expects that at the very least, HR practitioners have done their research and due diligence before we come up with a proposition, a proposal, a stand, an opinion, or a recommendation to the board, or to the execom, or to the top management, or to the senior leaders, whoever you're actually working to. So what can we do? So in such times that we have to make that stand, being a subject matter expertise, or subject matter experts of that, with an expertise like that, we have to make sure that we are responsible with every word, every writing, every recommendation that we put it out there. Kasi po, any consequence that will come out from that, hindi natin pwedeng sabihin, blame mo sa tao mo for not researching properly, blame mo kagaya nito kasi sa atin yun. Especially for the department HR leaders. Wag, if it's good, then you share the credit to all your team members. In fact, mas dapat ibigay mo. But if it's bad, don't also pass a load that it is your responsibility as an HR department leader that whatever mistakes there be in whatever decisions you make, sa'yo yun, right? It is our responsibility to commit ourselves to the highest standards of integrity. And, making a stand in terms of integrity is both hard and unpopular. Now, later, I'll share with you how hard and how unpopular that is as well. A lot of you may know, I am an HR practitioner for many years, pero nag-transition po ako from HR to CEO. So, I will share with you practical and talagang mga examples of how to make sure that this is actually done the right way. So, let's go ahead. By the way, if you have any questions in between as I go along the topic, huwag po kayong mahiya. Feel free to actually put it in the comment section para kung makikita ko immediately, then I can answer it while discussing, or naman later, Tina and Rona can moderate in terms of your questions. Pero wag po kayong mahiya. This is what the free talk is about. Take advantage of it. Learn from it, especially with such a community as this one. Okay, if you look at this picture na nakalagay dito, ano sabi ito? You can't trust anything in FB anymore. Ang respond ng kaibigan niya, are you deleting the account? how many of us here, no? Raise your hand, make a comment. If not, diba? I think Not is also watching. Hi, Not! So si Not nandito, tsaka si Sunny. Oy, mag-comment kayong dalawa dyan. Mga ano na kayo, leaders, no? They're no longer under me. They are leaders of their own. Nasurpass na nga ako ng mga yan. So I'm so proud of them. Anyway, so halimbawa, di ba, pag may mga natotoxic ka, marami dito ang style mag-detoxify by deleting their account or isa-silent muna nila yung account nila or di-deactivate nila kasi marami na silang mga nakikitang bad news or things that irritates or annoys them in the Facebook, lalo when it comes to fake news. Now, if that is your response, write mo yon, diba? But to me personally, if you feel that you are not also accountable in spreading what is right, countering the lies, then you are part of the problem as well. Kasi diba, omission, an act and omission of an act which you know to be good, pag hindi mo ginawa, you are what? A principal also of that offense. So, ibig sabihin kung alam mo pala na mali yung nakikitang news about an HR practice or mga ini-spread ng mga taong calling themselves HR expert pero hindi naman tama yung ginagawa, and you refuse to call the person out because it's a stand that is unpopular and it's a stand that is hard to make, then you yourselves become part of the problem kasi hindi mo ginawa pa rin yung tama to make sure that it is corrected. One of the ways to dispel the lies and wrong practice, wrong perceptions, bad ethical conducts in HR is not only when we do our fact-checking and validation process on our own from our end, but it also makes sure that we entail holding those who spread those things accountable. So, halimbawa po, humahawa kayo ng kaso, right? Tapos yung tao na yun, ang hirap kasi, no? Diba, Not? Diba, Sally? Ang hirap kasi, when you are handling an administrative case that is he says and she says kasi it's one word versus another word of the other. So parang hearsay siya, no? So often, pinakamagandang safe route is that actually to pursue any hard stand on it kasi nga opinion ng isa't isa. But see, if we allow that to actually happen and allow the ones who spread wrong rumors scot-free, uulitin niya yan eh. And somewhere along the way, maghahanap na naman yan ng bagong biktima. So one of the ways to be able to correct that bad behavior is to make sure we hold the ones who are responsible for wrongful behavior be held responsible too. Huwag matakot bilang isang HR to make a stand even if it's unpopular and make the people that have done wrong to be held responsible. Alam nyo, nagiging problema lang naman ang post-truth era when we become desensitized about it and when we choose not to do something about it. So something to actually think about. Yeah? So let's start with the basic. And one of the basic things you can start about is let's define ano ba yung integrity? Alin ba yung HR ethics? Why does integrity and ethics come together? No? Bakit siya masyadong blended? Okay. The term ethics is actually derived from the Greek word called ethos. Tama yung sabi ni Ron at ni Tina kanina, it means actually character. Expounded further, pag sinabi natin character, it is what you do and what you do right even when nobody is actually looking. So hindi lang siya character, it also what encompasses a habit, a custom, a practice, or a way of behavior. To actually put it simply, it is referred to as what ought to be done to achieve what is good. So ito yung tamang gawain. And ano yung mga should not be done to avoid the bad. So ang maganda po kasi sa HR, even if I finished law, no, nahihirapan talaga akong mag-go into the law practice kasi sa law, kung sino yung kliyente mo, babaling ka eh, kung saan ba tama, saan mali. Mas nilalagyan mo yung loyalty mo dun sa pinaglalaban mo kesa dun sa actually, what you call this? Truth, kumbaga, or fact. Kaya nga yung iba mali, ginagawa pang tama, 'di ba? Kasi nangingibabaw sa law sa lawyering practice yung paglaban mo yung actually kliyente mo. And that's why I really never had comfort or peace in actually in the legal practice kasi hindi ko talaga kaya yun diba? So I am so thankful that the Lord led me in the HR practice. That's why I love HR so much. Kasi in HR, you don't have to make the wrongful choice. You only have to make one choice. And that choice is doing what is right in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of people, and in your own set of values. Napakaganda kasi nun. Pero is it a walk in the park in the HR practice? I guess a lot of you would agree with me. Hindi din, no? So mamaya pag-usapan natin. Kailan ba tayo nagkakaroon ng crossroad? Kailan ba tayo nagkakaroon ng dilemma? And what do we do about it? But just the same, if you put it all together, integrity and ethics all together, it means that one cannot do without the other. Magkakabit siya, kambal siya, diba? It's a prerequisite of one another. Because integrity and ethics goes together in the sense that when you mean integrity, moral uprightness yun. May say ka dun, yun yung moral standard mo. Yung ethics is how you now apply it. Moral philosophy. So halimbawa, naniniwala ka na everything should be malinis, truthful, beyond reproach, diba? That is your level of moral standards on a personal note. Now, question 2, how you transcend that to an ethical practice is, paano mo ngayon itatranscend yan sa policy? Paano mo ngayon itatranscend yan in the way you treat your employees? Paano mo ngayon itatranscend yan on decision makings? So moral uprightness and moral philosophy goes hand in hand together. Nagkakaroon po tayo ng issue if your moral uprightness does not align with the moral philosophy of a particular company that you are working for or working with. Kaya minsan napipilitan tayo to resign. Kasi when the company starts to already make you do things that no longer align to your moral uprightness, nagkakaroon tayo ngayon ng decision making. Kaya ko pa ba magtrabaho dito sa kumpanya when I'm being asked to do something which don't go well with my values? Kaya dapat po hindi fragmented. Dapat po talaga integrated siya. Alex, sir, as a safety officer, meron din kaming yellow OSH book. So ito yung operating manuals nyo din, which includes labor law. How can we contribute sa HR department in a way na hindi natatalisod ang decision-making ng HR for a particular people and human error? Alex, di ba meron kang safety ka, diba? So in terms of safety, I think your main priority is to make sure, and let me know, no, is to make sure, halimbawa, compliant ba sila when it comes to safety equipment, safety rules in an organization. Nagiging taliwas kasi siya. If, halimbawa, Alex, pumunta ka sa akin, sabi mo, ako yung, halimbawa, ako HR head mo, no? And then you come to me and then you ask, Daisy, nire-require ngayon ng a safety practice, ganitong namin ng fire extinguisher, dapat meron kang place for this, place for like that. And then ako naman, for example, sige, agree. Tapos pagpunta ko sa Exicom or pagpunta ko sa senior leadership, sasabihin, hindi kami tayong kayang ibigay ngayon lahat yan kasi wala tayong space, diba? Or wala tayong pera to buy such equipment at this time. So, kung ganon, magkakaroon ngayon ng issue, Alex, yung recommendations mo tsaka HR. So, anong gagawin ni HR? Kasi si HR, one part lang siya nung total pie ng board, diba? So, para hindi kayo mag-away, you, as the safety officer and the HR, will have to come up with a collaboration. Collab kayo, diba? Where are the areas na pwede nyong i-push? Baka naman pwede i-phases mo. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. Para kahit i-check kayo ng LGU, you are compliant in the standards. And for those things na hindi pa kayo compliant, you are in the process of complying. Diba? So mag-meet halfway kayo. Kasi hindi rin naman pwedeng basta-basta ora-orada just because the LG wants it, ora-orada may resources or may space yung company. So that's what I'm saying. Mas magandang ganun yung gawin mo kesa yung sabihin sa'yo ng boss mo, sa LGU naman yan, baka pwedeng lagyan na muna natin. Baka naman may fixer para they will turn the other way at hindi nila tayo ma-inspect. Pag ganun yung ginawang recommendation, halimbawa ng top leaders nyo, dapat you say no. Kasi magkaiba yung you are trying to want to comply and be obedient to the law, dahan-dahan. kung ano lang yung, at least in phases, kung di mo kaya ibigay, but in the promise na ginagawa mo siya, in the verge of doing it, versus yung outright, gagawa ka ng paraan, i-under the table mo siya. Pangit yun. Right? And I'll share you what do I mean by that. Yung pagiging HR ko, transition to a CEO, helped me a lot in terms of decisions I need to make. Because when the company that I put up was established in 2018, it's a Christian NGO, no? So non-profit ito. Hindi ko akalain na napakahirap palang kumuha ng processing ng business permit when it's an NGO. One, it entailed grabing amount ng capital. Kasi 'di ba, to safeguard people from fly-by-night NGOs, 'di ba? So that's part of it. Dapat may capital ka talaga, may pera ka. Number two, ang hirap din kumuha. Kasi ang dami namin kong pinagtanungan, even from the LGU, initially, na sinasabi, I don't need a permit. I don't need, what you call this, to go through getting a license. Kasi, NGO naman daw ako, hindi ako sales, hindi ako kailangan ng permit. But I insisted. Sabi ko, no, because if I'm gonna operate and people will be entrusting the NGO that I'm actually, putting up, dapat I am good in terms of receipts. I am good in terms of law and everything. So it was it took me a while to be able to get it, but I'm glad that I started right when I put up the company. Hindi ako nag-shortcut, hindi ako naglagay, hindi rin ako fixer. So, and because I did that, because it was bounded on my spiritual belief as a Christian, naging maganda. And needless that I know that 4 years after, yung pala ang magiging basis. Bakit imbis na sa malasakit or compassion ako naging nominated for a leader in top 30, napunta po ako sa integrity. Kasi ang daming NGOs ngayon operate without a license kasi some gusto naman siguro magkaroon ng lisensya, pero kung ganun yung klaseng resource na ibibigay sa'yo or response, mananawa ka or maiinis ka na lang. Diba? But good thing, persistence on finding and doing what is right helped me so that I am legitimately standing as a duly registered one. So does that make sense? Hope it helps you guys out. So let's see, balik tayo sa HR. So what are some of the common HR ethical problems, dilemmas that we are facing? No? And ano naman yung magiging consequence pagka hindi mo ginawa yung tama? And you overlook the practice of integrity. So gawin natin to isa-isa. Let's tackle with a first example, yung discrimination, diba? So discrimination is defined as because of globalization, there is a steady increase in the workplace diversity in terms of religion, gender, ethnicity, and background. Pasensya, medyo nag-iba yata yung orientation. So, ibig sabihin nito, it doesn't matter what the background of an employee is, what religion, what gender, what have you. We have to be inclusive, no? So, there are policies in terms of non-discrimination, no, and inclusions of workplace diversity. Paano kung HR ka? Tapos, meron ka palang bias. Meron kang mga personal beliefs. Hindi mo pwedeng i-insist yon. Hindi ka rin pwedeng magkaroon ng policy na na kumbaga discriminatory dun sa sa pananaw mo, 'di ba? Kasi if you're gonna do it the other way around, magiging damaging siya in the long run to your company brand, to your reputation, client trust, and retention. 'Di ba? So hindi rin tama na lalo kung in terms of policy, you're gonna put there something which is really discriminative, no? Or kahit wala kang ilagay sa policy, pero the way, diba? The way you actually make decisions. Ayaw mo mag-hire ng maraming babae, for example. Ayaw mo mag-hire ng pregnant, kasi pag pregnant, magma-maternity leave, magiging expensive. Pag married people, hindi makakapag-overtime. Yung mga ganong biases, diba? Pagka yung mga policies ninyo and the way you implement it is discriminative in nature. One, it will not help build a culture that is diverse. Kasi hindi naman ang skills based on gender, di ba? Ang skills could be diversified, lalo sa panahon ngayon, no? So, hindi natin dapat i-discriminate by age. Pag matanda na yan, wala nang saysay. Kasi may wisdom naman ang matanda. Pag bata, ay naku, hindi pa yan seryoso, hindi mo rin alam. Because not all millennials naman are like that. So, on a case-by-case basis, kailangan wag kang mag-discriminate. You have to base it based on the person as against what is being followed by your company. So, ang consequence niyan, very grave, no? Pagka hindi natin i-apply ng maayos. So, how does HR standing with integrity should be? So, dapat, when we work, we have to put on a hat na hindi tayo bias. When we are being paid to be HR, hindi tayo dapat nag-hire ng taong kamukha natin ng ethics, kamukha natin ng practices. Dapat titingnan mo ano ba yung job evaluation, ano ba yung need ng stakeholders, at ano ba yung needed for the job. So it doesn't matter what the background of the employee is. If you know or that person is very qualified for that position, ibigay mo. Diba? So yun. Next. Employment issues. Example niyan. Ito yung mga personal perceptions and bias pag in-impose natin behind the position that we have. Excuse me. This can be very, very, sorry, kan pa ko ng water. This is very, very problematic. So halimbawa, male chauvinist ka, gusto mo surrounded ka ng mga lalaki. Gusto mo yung leadership mo, puro lalaki din. So anong tendency mo? Normally sa ministry, sa churches and ministry, ganito to eh. Ayaw nila nag-hire ng babae, gusto nila puro lalaki. O ano naman ang downside? So, puro lalaki, di puro minsan kahinaan nila yung foresight, kahinaan nila planning. Puro sila lalaki, wala silang natapos, di ba? Wala silang nagawa kasi puro sila lalaki. Ang ginagawa lang nila, puro sila ego, talk, wala silang natatapos. Kasi marami sa babae magaling sa planning, magaling sa implementation. So can you imagine living in a world na puro male lang? Hindi siya exciting, di ba? Kasi we are created by God na our genders are given kasi we complement each other at may mga pros and cons yung ating skills. Depende on what we actually need to do. So dapat, 'di ba? Huwag kang mag-hire dahil yun yung gusto mo. Mag-hire ka kasi yun yung dapat, 'di ba? Personal perceptions and bias. Halimbawa, may lumapit sa iyo, close mo, 'di ba? Close mo yung manager. Daisy, HR ka eh. Alam mo, yung ganitong manager ko, hindi ko type. Hindi ka rin dapat mag-jump to the conclusion and just take the word of your friend just because. Kasi, unfair yun dun sa part nung chinichismis sa'yo. Your job is to take it in, listen objectively, throw it out pag hindi tama, and then, diba, look at the person always with fresh view. Yun yung trabaho natin. If you don't do that, ang consequence kasi niyan, malalaman na bias ka, may favoritism ka, people will no longer come to you as HR. Naku, wala naman say-say ang HR na yan. Hindi naman yan nakikinig. Puro lang pinapakinggan yan, management. O, di ba? Ang sakit nun pag ganun yung sinasabi sa atin. Or sasabihin, HR naman na yan, pro-management lang, ayaw niyan sa empleyado. O yung HR na yan naman yan, wala lang yan. Ano lang yan? Display. Imagine, these are comments that people, you cannot naman avoid tell that about us kasi depende rin on how we actually did our work. No? So if we don't do the right way, some of the consequences that impacts your employment would be low levels of employee morale, engagement, satisfaction, and it will definitely hurt your retention. In the long run, it will hurt your business. So what should be our stand? Avoid stereotyping and try to implement a policy and practice that is consistent as much as possible so that it will create and build a high-trust working environment. Does that make sense? Yan. Magtanong lang po kayo kung kinakailangan. Right? So, feel free Feel free lang. Okay. Next. Halimbawa, ayan, mainit ito in terms of termination and dismissal, diba? When your terminations and dismissals are done with bias and unreasonable demands from top management, kung mag-give in ka dito, it is not only risky but very costly. In my 25 years of HR practice, nako, I've seen it all. Minsan patatawag ka ng GM o patatawag ka ng stakeholder. Wala kang kaalam-alam, diba? Pag upo mo dyan sasabihin, I want this person out. Nga ka na lang, di ba, titigin ka, okay, backtrack, bakit po? I mean, bakit ayaw, di ba? Can you give me fact? Can you give me reasons? Bakit ayaw? And then sasabihin, ayaw mo lang. I just don't want this person anymore. So, anong trabaho ni HR? Well, sometimes we have to even do some career suicide moves, meaning, kahit na pinaka-big boss pa yan. Nangyari sa akin yan, I was torn between two big powers, no? Yung local, gusto niyang tanggalin yung isang exicom kasi gusto niyang ipalit yung mas kakomportable siya, mas tao niya, di ba? Yung big boss naman, alam ko na ayaw tanggalin kasi yung taong involved, mata naman niya sa organization. So saan ka ngayon pupunta? Damn if you do, damn if you don't ka, 'di ba? Kasi kung sumunod ka dun sa bigger boss, you will be in the good side, pero patay ka naman dun sa local boss mo na GM na lagi mo namang kausap every day at may in charge sa appraisal mo. Well, I praise God that in all decisions I make, I always do the right thing, no? Praise the Lord. So, ako tiningnan ko, first off, I told both of them, ano ba ang currently issue natin? Pag sinabi ang issue performance, tanong ko, is it something na hindi ba kayang matutunan? Is it something that hindi ba kayang ma-improve based on 3 months, 6 months? Kasi if it can be improved upon, ang tanong natin, have we done our share in terms of ensuring na yung pangangailangan niya sa trabaho napupunan? Pangalawa, kailangan ba talaga termination agad? Hindi ba natin pwedeng tingnan yung processing in terms of pwede pa bang i-improve o baka pwede natin i-access at i-assess ang talent gap and then let's do our part to remedy that before making harsh decisions. So, lo and behold, so to speak, na-save ko yung empleyado kasi wala naman talagang reasons to dismiss. Ano naging consequence? Di ako yung pinag-initan for quite some time. But I'm okay with it kasi if you are good with your work, mas mag-iingat ka lang kasi i-witch hunt ka, hanapan ka ng problema. But at the end of the day, it's not about that. You know, sometimes you make a hard decision, even if it put you into a harm's way, kasi yun yung trabaho mo sa HR. Because whether they admit it or not, or whether they will appreciate or not, or whether they will realize it eventually, you're actually saving the company a lot of money in terms of cost avoidance kasi legal sanctions can actually be very costly and risky pagka hindi natin inayos yan. Bakit? Damages can tantamount to be millions pag hindi yan naging tama. So how can you equate into money yung moral damages? Yun kapatid ang pinakamahirap actually gawin. Next. Eto, compensation. Guys, yung mga nilalagay ng example sa inyo, hindi to kathang isip These are actually real scenarios that I have personally experienced in my work as HR, in HR over the years. So, compensation benefits. Ano yung magiging dilemma natin? Where our ethical practice, ethical standards, and, value of integrity sometimes are being tested. So, syempre, halimbawa, ikaw ay executive HR. Ikaw yung pinaka-top ng HR. You are in the company of senior leadership and top management. So, pinag-uusapan halimbawa salary scale. Pinag-uusapan halimbawa compensation and benefits. What areas or what examples na nagiging problematic ito? Halimbawa, ethical issues pertaining to salaries, perks, benefits, and incentives of top management. Ilang beses ko na ito nakita. When I give a recommendation of the salary scale, may curve kasi and bell curve, diba? So, titignan mo yung from the lowest to the highest. Dapat meron siyang rational, meron siyang philosophy, bakit ganun yung naging jump, diba? Bakit ganun yung range. Pinag-aaralan yan. Depende sa market, depende rin sa salary survey, and the like. Minsan, sumasakit yung loob ko kasi madali nilang pinagdidesisyonan yung nasa baba until middle management. Minsan mahirap pag you're trying to push na, kailangan na ng upgrade, kailangan nila ng alignment sa market kasi yung mga taong to na nagstay na ng 5 years, 6 years sa company, hindi na sila nababayaran ng hindi na siya nababayaran ng hindi na siya nababayaran ng tama. So yung nangyayari, yung mga new hires na pag-iiwanan yung loyal sa company, yung mga tumatagal. So dapat i-align na natin sila based on market. Minsan ang hirap humingi ng budget kasi sasabihin nila masyadong maraming impacted. So sometimes it takes me so much just to have that approved. But sometimes, even more sad is the fact that pagdating dun sa top management, kahit hindi naman kailangan ng increase, kasi matataas na yung sweldo namin, ipupush pa rin nila may increase. Eh, minsan yung increase ng 10 tao sa top management is already enough to cover what? 100, 150 employees altogether. Pero doon mas na-approve. In times like that, I would say, I would normally convict them. Kung may budget tayo para sa atin, ibigay na muna natin sa iba. Because after all, this is what data tells us. This is what market data tells us na hindi tayo na pag-iiwanan. We're still at par. So, I guess yun yung mga HR stand na dapat natin gawin. Are you gonna do what is right, even if it means delaying what could be beneficial for you, or not even being given what is beneficial to you for the sake of the majority? Well, it's something you have to actually make decisions on. Kasi marami rin akong mga boss at marami rin akong mga dating naka-work na pag advantageous sa top management, quiet na lang sila. Gusto nila yun eh. Pero pagdating sa tao, quiet din sila. Ayaw nilang i-implement. Basta sila okay na, the rest hindi na. So if you are in a situation where you have been given by Jesus the ability to be in that season to influence people to be in the right direction and right decision, be that. No? Kahit na it is unpopular and hard, stand for you. So, bakit kailangan yun? Because as an HR who's standing in integrity, it is pertinent, very critical and important na we maintain objectivity, not only in terms of where bracket you are in terms of category, but across the board. Dapat data will not lie, numbers will not lie. What is the findings of job evaluation? What are the best practices and what are the market rates? Yun dapat ang gawin. One way to be able to protect yourself from being bullied in the workplace by making a stand, hire a third party to do the salary survey for you. That way, hindi nila masasabi na bias ka. Also, from an employee perspective, hindi nila masasabi na pinaburan mo lang ang top management kasi the data will not lie. Numbers don't lie. Yeah? Next, is keeping integrity intact still possible? Ayan, di ba? As you can see, it is possible. For those who may not be aware, ako talaga, I think, of all people who were surprised when this came about, ako yata yun. And I was joking around with my husband kasi number one, si Francis Kong. Number 3, si Chinky. Number 2, ako. Sabi ko, ano kaya ginagawa ko dito? Ako yata yung at, ako yung in. Kasi, I mean, from my personal standpoint, to me, compared to these giants, no, na business tycoons that have been in the industry for 20 years as business owners, no, as CEOs, I considered myself as a baby kasi I just started as a CEO 2018. So, in terms of expertise, in terms of years of experience, napaka-baby ko pa. As in, sobrang baby ko pa. So, to actually see myself at number 2, I know, number 1, it's God's favor. And number 2, nung inaral ko lahat, diba? And tiningnan ko yung write-up. Bakit ako? Kasi for an NGO, I would have expected sa compassion ako, diba? Sa malasakit. But then, why integrity? And then when I read my write-up, yung write-up that they made about me, na-realize ko that the hard stand I made in 2018 in ensuring that we are duly registered in the eyes of law was the very basis by which 5 years after, or almost 5 years after, I was awarded as top leader for that because it was so hard to make at that time, to make what is right, diba? Kasi ang dali sana, diba? Okay, ayaw nyo magkaroon ng license itong NGO, di gagawin ko, then I don't need to pay donations tax. I don't need to have issue receipts. Mas matatago. Pero hindi eh. I'm not comfortable kasi sa akin, even 20 pesos that you donate to the NGO, dapat may resibo yon in terms of donation. So, never did I fathom that the hard decisions in terms of making a hard stand in integrity that I made in 2018 can actually proven to be rewarding for me in 2022. That actually helped stamped in terms of where I am now in the industry. So, talagang sobrang favor. Kasi pag titingnan nyo po, mga kapatid, yung top 30 leaders doon, ay talaga naman, hindi ko alam ba't ako nandoon. Kasi ako'y napakabata pa, not on age, no, but in terms of being a CEO. But I know that it is the Lord who put me there kasi He honored the fact that I was doing the right thing. So, coming out here, thank you, by the way, for the opportunity, Darwin, Rona, Burns, and Tina, for coming in. I don't speak to you out of theories lang. I speak out of experience and I speak out of practice. Talagang lifestyle. Integrity is number one value that I really put near and dear to my heart. Kahit wala pong nakatingin, I would still try to do what is right. Kasi yun yung basis ng Christian faith ko. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect, but at the very least, I know na I will always choose to do the right thing kasi yun yung tama, diba? I've made some mistakes when I was young, diba? Kasi nga, ang hirap yung pinipressure ka minsan ng management. But I praise God that all those mistakes, no, God has allowed me now to shape the way I am now. Tama yung sinabi ni Tina kanina, natatawa ako, pero tama yun eh. Pag nahihirapan kang sumunod, sometimes if nahihirapan yung puso mo to do something which is not aligned to your values, sometimes the best thing to do is actually put up your own company and make sure that your values is, the ones that you believe in, the principles that you live by are being implemented into it. So tuwang-tuwa naman ako because now that I have my own company, I don't have to make decisions that are shady. Diba? Kasi now, I only stand by with truth. So what I'm gonna teach you, the couple slides na lang, konti na lang, is like, how did I do it? How did God allow me to keep my integrity intact despite we are in a post-truth era, despite conflicting decisions at times and situations? How was I able to keep my integrity intact? Still possible. So let me share some. Ayan, andyan si Sunny, andyan si Nanot. Though I have always loved my team members, when I was younger, I don't think I spoke a lot of words in love. Magaling po ako sa trabaho ng bata, pero matabil ang dila ko, masakit. Yung very perfectionist kasi ako eh. Yung my standards to myself very high. So I expect my team members to do the same thing. Happy naman ako, no? Because the ones I trained, ayan, sina Darwin, although mas matagal sa akin si Sunny, yan, sina Not, naging magagaling na leaders na after. But I think if there's anything I regret a little, regret a little lang naman, is that in those many situations that I've mentored them, I could have spoken so many truths, which I always do, but in a more loving way. I always say what I mean, and I always mean what I say. But there's a difference also when you say it in love. Hindi nagiging demeaning, hindi rin nagiging embarrassing, nagiging mentoring. So over time, as the Lord changed me, as I become mature, this became a very important part of how I handle things. Hindi lang naman sinasani. May mga tao din ako dati na talaga naman kasi ang titigas ng ulo. Brings out the worst in you, no? Pero I realized that you can still get the same results without being combative, without being confrontational. But you can still speak boldly, frankly. Pero iba yung dating if they know that you're doing it kasi may malasakit ka. And you really want what's best for them. Versus yung pinagagalitan mo lang kasi you feel hindi nila ginawa yung dapat nilang gawin. I cannot take full credit that I am where I am at now because of my skills only and because of, my overall qualifications. In fact, I can honestly say that the reason why I am where I am at now, it's because I have learned to ground everything I do in what I believe in terms of my relationship with God. So when I started changing the way I approach people and the way I speak to people, na-realize ko, mas powerful pala, no? Because tama yung sinabi sa wow ko, diba? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Diba? What matters most is how many people, how many lives have you changed? Have you touched? Mas importante pala yun. So I am always grounded with this verse in Psalms 15, verses 2 to 3. The one whose talk is blameless, who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from their heart, whose tongue utters no slander, who does no wrong to a neighbor and casts no slur on others. Pwede naman eh. You can always take that stand without having to put others, in a wrong light. Pwede naman eh. Kayang gawin. You can be objective, truthful, pero hindi ka kailangan manakit. Number 2, anchor your integrity not on your moral uprightness. So, dictionary would define integrity as moral uprightness. Pero napansin ko din na ang moral uprightness depende dun sa definition ko of value. Depende dun sa how I was raised. And sometimes that can be fickle and that can also be dangerous kasi iba-iba yung ating upbringing. And I realized that if I am to upgrade and take that moral uprightness to a higher level that is pleasing both in the eyes of man and the Lord, I have to base it on what is my relationship with Christ. So Philippians 4:8 says, "For we aim at what is honorable, not in the Lord's sight, not only in the Lord's sight, but also in the sight of man." So this time, whenever I make decisions in life, I would ask myself, if I do this, would God be pleased with me? Because chances are, if I do things which would please the Lord, more than anything, I think, it would make sure I also gain the favor in men. And totoo nga, diba? Since when I started the NGO, basing on what I believe is right in the Lord, hindi ko alam na that would be the very basis why I also got rewarded because of that. Diba? So, yon. I see question here. Mamaya sasagutin ko. I'll just finish these points para para matapos natin, we can go through Q&A. Number 3, do what is right and do what is good. Minsan nakakapagod, no? Nakakapagod talaga minsan. Lalo pag maraming salbahe, no? Nakakapagod. But, hindi tayo dapat mapagod. Kasi yun yung sinasabi. Pag napagod ka, delete mo na lang account mo, deactivate mo na. We are becoming part of a problem if we become desensitized and if we decide to stop doing good because everybody else is not doing good anyway, that becomes worse and worse. And it will impact our children and our children's children kasi yun na yung magiging new step of standards nila. So always do what is right and always do what is good. Because at the end of the day, Galatians 6:9 says, we should not get weary, we should not get tired of doing it. Kasi in the proper time, we will reap if we don't give up. Ako na po yung walking example of it. 4 years ago, little did I know that making that stand, even if it meant my husband and I going to and fro the LGU siguro mga 3 times, and trying to go through channelings just so they would listen to us and allow us to really put up an NGO that is legitimate. Little did I know that several years after, yun yung magiging basis why we have partners that even if I don't ask donations, they will come to us and partner with what we do because they can see in our lives that we're transparent. No, hindi kami nagtatago. And also, we don't get even a peso in the NGO. Wala po akong sweldo sa NGO. So, as a director and founder and incorporator, we don't get any. Everything that we actually have, we put it in the ministry in terms of helping people. During the pandemic, we helped a lot of people. Sobra. We spent millions helping out people. Even if there were fears in the sense that paano kung magtuloy-tuloy itong pandemic, where will the funding be? We just went on and helped people. And we realized that it is in doing this, continuously doing good, that, others who are observing us have learned to trust us and have learned to partake, meaning sumali sila. Without even us asking for anything or calling out donations, they partnered with us because they know they can trust us. So sometimes doing what is good does not have immediate tangible rewards, but in proper time, as the verse says, it will come into fruit. So wag magsawa. Now, from a nature practice, create a code of conduct that matches your company's and employees' values. So teach people to be honest. I always say that, no? So policies that you come up with, you have to teach them to be honest. Force them to be honest. That way, hindi sila matitempt to do otherwise. Pag kasi yung mga policies mo malabo or magulo, doon nagkakaroon ng problema, doon natitempt yung tao to, to try to, ring around yung talunin or kumuha ka ng, something that can counter the policy na hindi man hard fast pero parang pwede na. So wag kang magkakaroon ng mga policies that are hard to define. Mas maganda defined para everybody is honest regardless of the position. Next, integrity leads to lasting relationship. Even with the way you handle cases, don't talk about it with others, no? Because when people have learned to see that you're a person that can be trusted with confidentiality, whether in processes and documentation, people will gravitate towards you and they will want to partner and have a lasting relationship with you. And the basis why I do that is in Proverbs 12:25. That means anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. So when people know you, diba? Pag marami ka kasing tinatago, if you have so many things na alam mong mali ginagawa mo, sobrang anxious yung buhay mo, sobrang stressful. But when you are a person that's out in the open, ayan siya. Diba? What you see is what you get. Ito talaga. And when you also sometimes admit when you're wrong, not sometimes, all the time, admit when you're wrong, mas madali yun mas magaan yung buhay. So, that will lead to a lasting relationship. Wag na wag niyo yung gagawin yung minentor mo yung isang tao, tapos kinagat ka din. Di ba? Parang ang sakit nun. I've had a lot of those, no? Minentor mo ng todo-todo, tapos manandulo, akala nila kayang-kaya ka na nila. Or gusto ka na nilang palitan. And at the back of, at your back, gagawa sila ng maneuvering para to make sure sila yung napaupo. Maybe, they could win. Pero, di ba, if you have set yourself in such a way na na-establish mo yung credibility mo, kahit anong gawin nilang ganong campaign sa'yo, it will not work. Hindi ka maaalis. You will stand firm. So, sa HR kasi ganun Minsan yung mga decisions you make, yung mga tao ayaw yon kasi party pooper ka, diba? O panira ka ng trip nila. So sometimes they would do things against you, but if you do it lang tama and you know that you're doing it the right way, don't be afraid. Just do it consistently. And you have to make sure that whatever you implement, ginagawa mo rin. Again, kasama to sa wow quote, no? Hindi kami nag-usap, but I'm so happy it is aligned. When you're trying to aim for something, don't just aim for success. Tama yung sabi ni Tina, at the end of the day, just so you think money can be a solution to all the problem. Hindi din, diba? Because we have known a lot of people that are very rich, very wealthy, nonetheless was not happy at all. We're not happy at all. Because bottom line is, it is not money that makes us happy. It's actually when we learn to glorify God in everything that we do and in serving others that we actually find significance, no purpose in our lives. Ephesians 2:10 says, always evaluate your organization's culture to enable change that leads to transformation. So it is the job of HR to always make sure that you always evaluate. Make sure na yung change na ini-implement mo will be change for the better and not just temporary band-aid solution. Diba? So it is your job to make sure that if I implement this ba, temporary success ba, or in long term, not only do we become successful, but in the process of also growing, we're touching people's lives, which could lead to lasting relationships. Okay, so we go to Q&A, but I think I see somebody who asked me kanina. Good afternoon po. I'd like to ask, paano niyo hina-handle yung issues ng pagko-compare ng salaries ng employees? Example, sa construction company, yung mga team leaders and workers may ganong issues. Kahit na from the beginning, orientation pa lang ina-explain na natin na confidential ang offered salary sa kanila, nagiging problema kasi HR ang sinisisi na nagiging unfair. Actually, Tina, Rona, you can already come in, no? Kasi nagsasagutan na tayo. Best practices na to. By the way, as they are coming in, as I try to answer, if you want to actually look for me, ginubo talaga yung Lacuanan-Callanta because that is what makes me separate from others. That is Callanta. Pero Lacuanan-Callanta, nag-iisa lang ako. Ayan. So, I'm glad to see Tina and Rona already joining me. But just to answer, I'm pretty certain may mga sagot din naman itong dalawang beautiful ladies. No? So, question dun sa tanong mo. Sa totoo lang, sa Pilipinas, Rona, Tina, you can jump in. Sa Pilipinas kasi very particular sa salary. No? Yung dapat confidential siya. Pero alam nyo ba, na globally, salaries are very open. You know, in a global scale, nakalagay doon. Pag ikaw nasa ganitong level, job grade A to C, ito yung bracket. Hindi man actual salary na pero mo bracket. You know what? Why it's important to be transparent? Una, hindi na magja-jump yung tao sa market para lang malaman yung value nila. Kasi alam nyo ako, ginagawa ko yun noon eh. Para malaman kung rate ko, kung updated pa sa loob. Nag-resend ako ng resume para pagka ginab offer ako, kita ko, saleable pa ako or within market pa ako. Pero di ba ba't kailangan mong gawin yun? Baka sa paggawa mo nun, matempt ka na talagang lumipat, di ba? In other companies, and this is a global practice, I kid you not, salaries are very transparent. Kasi ang gandang effect nun, kung ako halimbawa job grade A, gusto kong maging job grade D, ano yung mga qualifications na dapat kong gawin kung ang driving force ko sweldo? If everything is transparent, then you are inspiring me now na since clarified at clear yung what I need to do to be there, gagawin ko yon on my own. Kasi gusto ko yung salary na yon. Marami kasi sa atin tinatago yung salary. Minsan sinasabi pa salaries and discussing the same is terminable. Practice kasi yan sa Pilipinas, no? Pero sana there will come a time na hindi na tayo maging ganon para hindi na magkaroon ng source of problem yan. Okay?
Actually, Miss Daisy, there is one, as far as I know, there is one company na,
Teka lang po, sino yung background? May ingay.
Oo nga eh. Ayan, sige. Pero there is one company here in the Philippines na super transparent sila when it comes to the salary structure. I'm not sure about the rest, but I think Moog is one company na transparent sila. And this was something na napag-usapan namin ng iba pang mga HR, yung mga HR professionals and HR gurus talaga na nauna pa sa atin, like sila ka Dani, sila ka Jaime, sila Sir Ernie Espinosa. Na Moog is one of the companies that were successful in implementing a very transparent salary structure program. Pero tama ka, here in the Philippines, hindi tayo masyadong open about it. Globally, there are actually, in the US for example, they have laws na hindi mo po pwedeng hindi i-disclose. Sa atin, covered siya ng DPA, hindi mo po pwedeng i-require mag-disclose. Yung may mga ganun tayo. So,
kaya di ba Rona, na pag-iisipan tuloy tayo ng pangit. Lalo, ang masakit nito, paano kung nalaman pa nila yon sa iba? Bakit yung manager ang laki? Manager din naman yung ganun, ba't ang laki? Tapos ito si HR, magpo-force ngayon mag-explain na, hindi kasi nung job offer naman to in terms of experience, mas high. Hindi naman kasi I think kine-question yung whether high or hindi. Kasi kaya nga tayo may salary range. Kasi merong minimum experience, may maximum experience, diba? I think naki-question nga siya because of our lack of ability to make things transparent.
Correct.
Diba? Kasi ako sa company ko, lahat transparent. Kung di na kayo bayaran, hindi ka bayaran. Hanggang dito lang. Diba? Kasi mas madali. It eliminates distrust. It eliminates confusion. And when people come to you, they come to you openly with wide eyes open. Alam nila talaga what's in store for them.
And you know, nagiging problema rin kasi na there is already a lack of transparency and there is also a lack of proactiveness in how the whole recruitment process goes. A number of companies, yung discussion when it comes to salary happens at the end of the whole interview process rather than at the start. So, kumbaga nakatatlong interview ka na, tsaka mo lang malalaman na, ang baba pala ng offer niya. So, doon ngayon nagkakaroon ng kumbaga ill feelings about the company and distrust kay HR kasi sinayang mo yung oras ko, bakit ngayon mo lang sasabihin sa akin, yan pala yung offer ninyo, ang baba pala. Right from the start, sinasabi ko naman sa inyo na ito yung meron ako, ito yung gusto ko, ito yung expectation ko. So I think yun din yung nagiging isang problem for that. sorry.
Tina, sorry
Yeah.
jump lang kay Rona. Tama yung sinabi ni Rona kasi minsan, di ba, time is very valuable. Tsaka mga kapatid, because of pandemic ngayon, wala na traditional, natanggal na yung traditional work. In fact, masyadong wala ng limit ngayon kasi people can actually do freelance, no? Freelance virtual work na pwede kang kumita ng Euro at US at the same time in a day kasi dalawa employer mo, isang taga-Europe, isang taga-US, nasa bahay ka pa. I mean, medyo dapat ngayon ang HR, I think, huwag masyadong mapagmalaki, huwag masyadong mayabang. Kasi we are in a season where I think mas marami ng options ang mga bata ngayon. And a lot of them don't even want to get employed. A lot of them becomes very young entrepreneurs and CEOs or third time.
Correct.
So, dapat medyo ganun din tayo. Magkaroon tayo ng humility, mga kapatid, sa HR to admit na maraming pagbabago na hindi tayo na-prepare, pero dapat natin sabayan. And integrity.
You actually only have to go to TikTok eh. Di ba? Pag tumpunta ka ng TikTok, ang dami doon na they do this, yung mga packing or packaging videos na gumagawa sila ng stickers. Tapos yung makikita mo yung mga may-ari ng business na yon, mga bata, super bata pa, and yet they are earning enough para masustentuhan yung buong operations, pati yung kanilang mga, they already have their own employees, they have a lot of machineries, printers, etc. So talagang hahanga kay, dan talagang yung pandemic, it really changed the business environment.
Blueprint,
everyone. So agree ako doon na as HR, hindi, kasi di ba in the past parang, ako HR.
Yun, mayabang, no?
I have the power to endorse you or not endorse you. We have to do away with that kasi ang dami na nating kalaban eh. Ano pa lang to, recruitment pa lang ito.
Sa recruitment pala tayo, hindi pa na pag-uusapan ibang facets ng HR.
Ang dami na nating kalaban.
Isang linggo di tayo tito tapos pag-usapan ng mga problema.
Correct.
Teens.
Mentor Tina, ikaw, what
Well, for one, the first thing I will ask is, where did you get that information? Kasi I want to see sino yung marites. Kasi it was said in a way, and it was said, I'm okay with disclosures like that. What I'm more okay is minsan, depending kung sinong chismosa, nadadagdagan ng malis.
Correct.
Hoy, mas mababa pala sahod mo. Yung ganun parang gumagawa ng intriga, which is very annoying because dapat neutral ang salary range. Number two is, when a person comes to you like that, ang second question ko is, what do you want to happen? Diba? Obviously, ang sasabihin niya, gusto ko tapatan. Okay. So, it's very easy for me to say, wala akong problema that we can work sa pagtatapat. The only problem is, can you do what this other person does?
Correct.
Kasi there's also a basis on why one person is paid more than the other. Be it by tenure, by competency, or some special power. And the third question is, kasi if that's the case, pwede mong tapatan. Basta gawin mo yung trabaho niya. We'll spend the next couple of weeks and months to ensure that you can actually do what the other person's doing. Kasi possible na bibigyan mo yung inventory manager mo na mas mataas na sweldo because you want to give a buffer that just in case may nawala sa items niya, na ma-charge siya, meron kang buffer na hindi masyadong mas yung sahod niya. So there should be a justification as to why somebody is paid more than others. The number 3 is you have to also make sure that all your salaries are justifiable. Because I don't think people are complaining about the high salaries. They just complain if the person with a high salary does so little.
Correct.
And when that happens, parang useless naman ng boss ko, ang tanga-tanga naman niya, I'm sorry. Pero parang bakit ang mas mataas pa yung sahod niya kaysa sa akin? Ano ba talaga yung special power ng boss ko kung bakit ang taas ng sahod niya? And that's something that all of us need to look at na it might be a voice of truth. Bakit pala mas mataas yung sahod niya? Na kasi pag natanggal tong tao na to and operations is still running, maybe we can distribute his or her sahod to 3 other people. If the 3 other people in a team can do the job as capably as the boss, why do you need a boss? Right? Because
ang dami mong tinamaan, Tina. So, nilabas ko tong slide na to. Kasi una sinabi mo, if your first reason for wanting to find out where the source came from, kung sabi mo nga, if there was malice in spreading the salary kasi malisyoso lang or kasi marites lang or kasi gusto lang magpa-job offer din or magpa-counter offer, then ito yung sinasabi ko, 'di ba? Yung make a hard stand of making that one, 'di ba, accountable. Kaya nga 'di ba may mga ganun tayong pamamaraan. You also mentioned yung sabi mo dapat depende dun sa experience.
Depende
I think
sa anong value na napro-provide ng tao,
yung
because there are
tao.
many, when you offer somebody a salary, you have to put a little bit of thought there. I think a lot of HRs, what they do is they just follow ito yung salary structure natin, ito yung offer. And
Correct.
that's what they say. They don't, after na-hire na yung tao, they put that inside a system. They forget to review kung is this person really worth the salary you're paying. Kasi if the person's worth more, you should reconsider in actually increasing. And if the person's worth less, you might want to reconsider as to why you're giving that person an extra pay or benefit because tumagal lang.
Correct.
Right? Because
So,
tumagal lang.
mo tinatamaan, yung isa tenure, di ba? Just because tenured ka, bibigyan ka. Pero marami rin tayong considerations. Kasi the fact na nagstay sila sa'yo, hindi sila na-treat, karapatan din at obligasyon din ng HR to make sure they're still within market. And it doesn't matter even if they did something extra yung baseline pa lang. If your salary grade entails na talagang dun siya pasok, ipasok mo siya dun, minimum. Diba? Kung at the very least. Kung mas magaling pa siya, plus tenured pa siya, lagyan mo ng premium. Yun yung sinasabi mo, Tine. Another aspect kasi why I would want transparency. Kasi dun din pumapasok ang negotiation skills. Kasi yung iba, pag ino-offer, oo agad. Diba? Hindi maghahagel. Tama, natatawa ka, Rona, diba? Kaya nga may negotiating power kasi doon pa lang, from the qualifications and the way you actually branded and marketed yourself, dapat doon mo pa lang maninegotiate mo na yung iyong salary offer sa'yo. Kung dun pa lang sa instance na yon hindi ka nag-negotiate, nahiya ka, tapos tinanggap mo na lang, then moot and academic na mag-cry foul ka after. Kasi hindi mo ginawa yung due diligence mo Dapat, before you jump on into a job and accept an offer, know your worth. And that's what I'm saying. Know your worth. Alamin mo, ano ba yung premium na kaya ko? What do I bring into the company? Whether the company has tried and tested my services is beyond the point. This is how I branded myself. This is how I carried it. Kung magaling, naniwala sila, di well and good. Kung hindi ko nagawa, di tanggal ka. Ganun lang naman yun pero kung swak, yung ninegotiate mo tama ang presyo, kaya mo rin gawin. Then nobody has the right to question why you got it. Diba? Kaya nga very important sa akin, not the actual salary, but the scaling. Kasi yung scale na yun, dun papasok yung HR. As long as nobody goes beyond the scale, and nobody goes beyond the max scale without an explanation, lahat yan red flags then dapat wala tayong argument. Kasi I think what I'm trying to say, walang karapatan ng kahit sinong empleyado magtanong dun sa in-offer ko if it's within that scale. Kasi wala akong outlier. Kasi that will define now yung kanya-kanyang personal experience and value ng tao. Magkakaproblema siya if you lack transparency, tas ang dami po pang outliers. I think yun yung dapat nating eliminate as HR.
Actually, pag iniisip ko, I think one of the reasons why it's hard for most companies to be transparent, barring yung reason na kasi kumbaga pwedeng gamitin ng ibang companies para to compete for the same talent. So barring that reasoning, I think most companies kasi do not actually have a structure in place.
Totoo.
So they can't be transparent because in the first place, there's nothing to be transparent about. And they know that the provision of the salary is arbitrary.
Tama, arbitrary.
Hiningi mo or kung anong average. So wala silang structure in place. So it's now hard for them to be transparent with the applicants and even with the employees because they know that they have nothing to be transparent about, which is not good because this would also mean that baka hindi mo ngayon napapansin na you already have employees na nagpapatong na or nagkakaroon na I would say that some sort of distortion is already happening. You have tenured employees getting the same salary as new employees. You have skilled
Nag-overlap na.
employees who are getting the same salary as those who are not so skilled. You have employees who have a lot of, or who are doing a lot of work, getting the same salary as those who are not doing anything. And doon nagkakaroon ngayon ng bakit ganon.
Yun, correct.
Tapos doon ngayon nagkakaroon ng bakit eto lang yung sweldo ko? Bakit sa iba? And then it leads to, sige na nga, ayoko na. So I think
Correct.
dun isa din yung
Dapat may
sa
structure ka,
problem.
may policy ka, defined siya lahat.
Correct, oo.
But I do want to highlight then the need of workers to have high integrity, not just to others but to themselves, because a lot of the applicants, they're trying to haggle and negotiate for higher pay. Obviously, syempre once na nasa kontrata yun na yun eh. The problem is once that they get that offer,
Hindi naman pinagtatrabahuan.
I do have a lot of experiences na parang sobrang nag-post ka lang. Pagdating nakuha mo na yung offer, you're not really delivering what you promised initially during the interview. And ang nakakasira din is, ang laki ng play up mo sarili mo. Pero pagdating, parang pang election, nanalo ka na, tapos after, I'm already like a president, or I'm already like I'm already a VP in the company. And then, since VP ka na, hindi, may training period pala, mga 1 to 2 months of adjustment. You don't take that responsibility seriously. And you don't exert as much effort to be the best as you can possibly be in that position. Which shows to me, parang yung mga workers, dapat may integrity din kayo sa sarili ninyo.
Tama.
Kasi kung natanggap kayo ng company mo for that particular position and you're given that amount of responsibility, you need to do all you can to be worth that position. Because otherwise, for me, that's you being dishonest. You lied in your interview, you overpromised, and once the company actually gave you what you asked, you underdelivered because you don't care really. Because no matter what your output is for the next 6 months, that's really what you're going to get. And for me, that's one way of, I hope that the people who are applying, when they start working for a company, it's not perfect, but they should do the best job that they could para wala ring masabi yung ibang tao sa kanila. Kasi 'di ba, parang ang sakit naman na you can say you operate with integrity, pero pagdating ba sa trabaho, nakikita ka nagpepetics.
So, may nangyari na yan, di ba? Yung mga leaders ngayon, tamad, delegation, di ba? Babayaran ng sweldo, tapos walang ginawa kundi mag-cellphone, mag-post sa FB, tapos ang inutusan yung mga tao nila to deliver. Hindi din dapat ganun, di ba? Kaya naman may check and balance din ang policy. Kasi, kung 3 months pa lang, kita mo na ganyan siya, tsugiin mo na, di ba? I mean, that is also the consequence. That's why we're dealing with dilemma and consequence, diba? That's why there's also a consequence of unethical practice. Kasi sa akin, if you are over-promising and under-delivering, you can't give what you don't have, and your bluff will not last you long. Eventually, magbabackfire sa'yo, at malaki mawawala sa'yo. Not only will you lose your job kasi hindi ka pumasa, kakalat yan sa industriya. Ang litid lang ng industriya natin, pag-uusapan yan eh. And then you're just eliminating your chances of being rehired and building up career kasi kakalat siya. So, tama si Tina in the sense, diba? Kung ito yung demand mo, siguraduhin mo kaya mo ha. Kasi pag hindi ka naman worth it, huwag ka magsisi kung ikaw may consequence na tanggalin. So, laging pantay lang. Laging fair. Parang sa akin, kaya nga sabi ko, integrity is important eh. Pag ba may nakatingin sa'yo, pag may boss na nakatingin o walang nakatingin, are you still doing your job? Because the basis is not when somebody is looking, but because you know it is right in God, parang feeling ko hindi ka bababa pag ganun ka.
For me,
kasi
may responsibility din yung mga leaders dito and managers. Kasi let's say you have an applicant, and during the discussion, okay, ito yung hiningi niya, everything else, or kung ano man yung mga inask niya as part of the compensation and benefits. The person doing the interview, and not just the initial interview, but all the succeeding interviews, the hiring managers and everyone else, they should also be trained on how to assess. I think it's also missing. Kasi usually, when we do the assessment, when we do the interview process, we take whatever it is that the applicant tells us, we validate based on what we see, we stop there. So we also have to see, we have to know how to conduct behavioral interviews para we can see if there is actually a pattern of behavior na, ito ba nagawa na niya before, so that if they ask for a high salary, tayo din mismo, madali tayong makakapag-decide. Ito yung ginawa niya with company A, company B, company C. Given that, most likely with you, ito rin yung magagawa niya. So leaders then should also, yeah, we hold all of this, all of us should have integrity, all of us should know what we are worth, but the leaders and the managers themselves, and not just the HR, they should also know how to properly assess. Dapat nandun din yung skill na yun. Otherwise, palagi kang after 3 months, ay, hindi pala sakto, ay, mali pala. Di ba nag-a-add ng costs yun sa recruitment?
Cost of attrition and retention.
Question.
And hire. Yes.
Kasi, di ba ang Pilipino mahilig makisama, and many of us spend our lunch and dinner or after work hours with colleagues, much to the point sometimes that it creates
To the
conflict with our loved ones. Yung mga asawa, hindi na umuuwi kasi meron na naman kayong team dinner or team inuman. And it's quite often in the Philippines that the lines between, your colleagues become your friends. But not all colleagues act
Our
the way
friends.
that you expect. They act the way that you're friends. But they don't act the way all the time. And this was a big problem in 2020 to 2022 during the COVID-19 pandemic, when it was on lockdown and management started to tutok more on operations because many didn't go overseas. 'Di ba dati kasi mga boss laging nag-abroad,
Abroad.
nagko-cruise. Ngayon, bawal mag-travel kaya pumapasok
Bantay.
na lang. Pagpasok, nakita pala, marami palang hanky-panky din nangyayari sa opisina. And these are people that you like. These are breadwinners, solo parents, people with children, who are probably of age. Mahirap na maghanap ng trabaho, the same position. And technically, the stuff that they do are terminable. And it's really a struggle for an HR because they are good. You can be a good person but steal, in a way.
A
diba?
bad worker.
Nakapagnakaw ka or nakapaghiram ka ng pera sa kumpanya na hindi mo pinaalam. And you are also a good mother, father, and friend, It can be both ways. You can't say naman kasi dahil nanghiram or nagnakaw, masamang tao na. I mean, life is more complicated than that. As an HR, where do you stand? Because we know fully well if you really do due process, it really makes an impact. Wala na tong tao na to, hindi mahirap na makahanap ng trabaho because and also at that price range kasi tenured na eh. Pero may nagawa talaga.
Tina, ako kasi, hindi ako nagkakaroon ng problema ganyan. Wala akong crossroad na ganyan. Ever since. Why? Kasi, una, though I am friends with people, when it comes to work, the company is not paying me to be a friend. The company is paying me to do what is right. I can be friends with you, but it doesn't mean that being friends with you, ilalaglag mo rin ako because I have to make a compromise for you. The fact that this person crossed the line, choice niya yun eh. Hindi ko choice yun. Diba? Ibig sabihin, wala namang masama eh. Talagang hindi ko naman sinasabing masamang tao ka eh, kaso naging tamad ka. O kaso pinabayaan mo yung work mo, kaso nagnakaw ka eh. Kung i-enable ko yung behavior mo, not only will I not be a good friend to you because I did not correct your behavior, I will definitely also be not doing my job for the company to which I got paid na ayusin yun. Therefore, imbis isa lang mali, nagkaloko-loko na tayong lahat. I always make a hard stand. And ang dami ko nang na-terminate, Tina. Minsan 50 in a day. Diba? Pero awa ng Diyos, lahat ng tinerminate ko, hindi naman ako minura or inano. Kasi when I explain to them, na-terminate ka kasi kasalanan mo. But at the end, after stating that point, I tell him, but this is not the end for you. You made a mistake today. You may not have a future within this organization. But should you choose to learn from this mistake and correct it, there can still be a future for you somewhere.
Correct.
Kasi kung magkaiba kasi yung tinanggal mo lang ng walang puso eh. mali ka, judgmental ka, versus in-explain mo yung situation. Because I've had many people na tinerminate ko. Friends pa ako talaga until now. Mentor pa rin nila ako, Miss Stacey. Salamat, tinerminate mo ko. Teka, ikaw yung nagpa-terminate sa sarili mo. Pero ba't ka nagpapasalamat sa akin? Because you made me realize where I did wrong. And nung nag-background investigation, di mo naman ako siniraan. You just told the truth. This person did so and so, but it doesn't make the totality of that person's ano. Kasi on a friend's note, on a personal note, mabait naman, nagkamali lang. Should you want to take the advantage of that person going to you, maging worry ka lang sa danger sign, pero it can also work good sa'yo kasi kung natuto na siya, magiging mas mabuti siyang empleyado sa'yo. It's just a matter of really being truthful in the circumstance, not circumventing it, but allowing the ones receiving your information to also have every information they need to make an intellectual decision as well.
Okay, I do have a very complicated but timely question related to that. Diba?
Complicated.
Medyo complicated, medyo timely din. Kasi we've encountered, diba, HRs are standing with integrity. Gets na
Correct.
ng mga viewers natin. But sometimes they're operating under a boss that maybe has integrity. Yung is doing what he can to ensure the survival of the company. He wants to push people to work overtime and yung to work themselves off. He wants to ensure that those who are part of his company are those who really want to be there. Diba? But in a way, sometimes kasi the personality of the boss changes. So may mga times na the way that the boss communicates, na-hurt yung feelings ng mga tao. Ergo, na-jerk. Yung, it's not, people get why he's doing it. People understand why he needs to lay off people. But sometimes, the words of the boss, kasi marami rin siyang iniisip, naglumalabas sa sobrang direct and medyo quote-unquote asshole. When that happens, diba, how can you, it's not as if the person's a bad person, and probably he or she might be a very brilliant leader and brilliant boss, and he's just doing what he can to make sure that the company survives, especially during crunch time and crisis time. But the way lang the boss is doing it is what you say, parang nakaka-offend sometimes. Not because it's bad, but because of the language or the tone or the way the person says it is medyo nakakasakit ng feeling sometimes. How can you as an HR standing with integrity manage your boss? Because it's not what your boss is doing is illegal. It's just that he's not very nice, quote-unquote nice about it. Lalo na pag foreigner. Diba? And if that happens, what can you do to manage? Kasi hindi mahirap palitan yung style of boss. May iba siyang iniisip. Meron siyang goal. But how would you manage that so that the values are still, balik tayo dun sa gitna? Kasi medyo maraming tao na na-offend.
Ganito kasi yan, no, Tina. Una, dun sa mga na-offend, hindi ko pwede kasi sabihin sa kanila they're overly sensitive. Kasi sa batas, pag napatunayan nila that this is what they felt, hindi mo pwede i-dispute yun. Feelings nila yun eh. Diba? May mga taong kayang mag-take ng hard words, may mga tao namang sobrang balat sibuyas. You can't say ang balat. No, you cannot be prejudiced when it comes to feelings because you have to respect that is their feelings, right? There are some people na nagiging suicidal, depressive, so hindi mo pwedeng i-dismiss yon. So, tanggalin muna natin yon. Mahirap i-manage ang feelings. Feelings nila yon, respetuhin mo yon. So, if you can't manage that, what you can manage is now two things. The way you respond and the way your boss should respond. One of the greatest skills that an HR should do is manage your boss. Kasi ikaw yung heart of the organization. Medyo napansin mo ganito ang approach ni boss, diba? Alam mo naman, because you work hand in hand with that boss na he means well. And brilliant siya. Unang tanong ko sa'yo, Tina, yung boss ba may-ari? Kasi kung yung boss may-ari, naman, tanggalin mo yung may-ari. Anine, di ba? So, hindi na ito pinag-uusapan. Mag-resign na lang tayo dahil hindi natin siya pwedeng alisin. Second, kung yung boss hindi may-ari, pero brilliant at alam mo naman na magaling, na talagang kailangan siya ng kumpanya, kaso medyo rough on the edge. Ang trabaho kasi ng HR, hindi lang i-manage ang baba, i-manage mo rin ang taas. I have had many bosses like that na kahit mismo ako gusto ko sapatusin no? Pero what I would do is I will personally, kasi the problem with a lot of Filipinos or at least people in general, they talk about their problems about the person without giving that person to whom they feel wronged about a chance. Kasi unfair yun kung ikinalat mo ng ganun tapos hindi mo naman man lang sinabihan courtesy yung tao. So ako, hindi ko i-judge ang tao unless naupuan ko na. So ako, the way I would have managed it, uupuan ko to. And the way you do it is the right approach, boss. I respect you. I know you're brilliant. Kaso, we are on the same track, Pareho natin gusto mag-succeed, lalo pandemic, di ba? Alam ko ang pressure sa'yo dahil you'd rather be direct and do this kaysa mawalan ng tao lahat ng trabaho. Pero halika dito. Times like this, mataas ang emotional problem ng mga tao kasi pandemic. Medyo madali silang ma-hot button, ma-push. For your sake, ano ba yung messaging mo? Daisy kasi ganito, ganyan. Gusto mo, para pogi ka. Ako na lang bad cop. Ikaw na lang good cop. How? I will still say the same message, but in a way that others can accept kasi culturally ganito kaming Pilipino, ganyan ka. Now, give me the chance to do this first. If you don't like it, then sige, do what you want. But should you like it, wala namang mawawala sa'yo, diba? Popogi ka pa. Gaganda ka pa. And you know what? When you do that, chances are your boss will admire and respect you after. Kasi kailangan, pinapapogi, pinapaganda mo rin yung boss mo without bordering to kicking ass, or leaking ass. You know what I mean? Hindi ganun. Kasi ma-manage mo siya. Kasi pag hindi mo siya manage, ang attrition mo, mahirapat ka rin. You have to be in the middle ground. Without being pretentious, without being superficial, without being flattery, hindi. Just being truthful, but in a manner that I think works better for everyone. Ang mga HR kasi para rin yan marketer, promise. So, dapat marunong kang makisama. Ang HR hindi pwedeng, opinion ko lang. Hindi na ganun ang HR ngayon. HR should really be the heart of the organization. That means you feel the beat of every heart. Ang maling-mali kasi sa HR natin, which I was also guilty when I was younger, no? Hindi, ito lang to, black and white. Ako magaling, di ba? Na-realize ko over time, there's many things I don't know about. And there are many things that made me a better person because of people that I engage with. Young, old, all levels. So, natuto ko maging humble. One of the greatest traits that an HR should have is have the humility to admit kung saan ka limited, ask help, and give help. Does that make sense?
Ayan. Meron tayong comment dito, medyo mahaba, so hindi ko na siya ipa-flash kasi baka matabunan tayo. Sabi ni Ms. Emlen Santos, madalas po mga leaders ang marites, kaya natitrigger ang mga workers. May naging experience po ako na gano'n na naging dahilan kaya na-push ang worker na magreklamo sa dole. Tama po yung mention kanina, ginagawa ng leaders yun para malaman ng top management at mabigyan sila ng increase. Kumbaga po, parinig, yun lang because na-cause ng bigger problem dahil may nagreklamo na tao nila. And then nung nalaman ng top management, sila mismo nag-confront sa nagreklamong worker na nag-cause palalo na mapalala ang issue dahil pati yung na-report sa dole na pinagalitan or pinagbantaan siya. So as HR, isa po sa magiging problem at challenge sa position natin bilang HR kung paano tayo gigitna between employee and management. Ito lang masasabi ko, lalo na sa may mga leaders na talaga na sila yung nagiging boss. So, when you are a leader, when you are a manager, pag merong nakarating sa'yo at alam mo na hindi ka sure ito kung kanino ba lang galing or this is a sensitive information, do not add anything. Huwag mag-add yung tipong, and you have to be very careful with how you react. Kasi if someone comes up to you, boss, alam mo ba si ganito ginawa niya? And you let's say, talaga? Okay. It already gives the party that you're talking to na, kampi sa amin si ma'am. Ay, kampi sa amin si ganito. So whenever you're dealt with that kind of situation, you have to be careful with how you react. Kasi pag ang leader at ang manager ang nag-add doon sa chismis, nagiging kumbaga nagiging official, nagiging totoo, nagkakaroon siya ng katotohanan kasi tayo yung nag-add. Ayan. Pero bago po yan, meron ako isang dito, phone-in question kasi hindi siya makapag-comment dun sa live. So sabi niya, being HRD head, we always exercise sense of integrity, but the favoritism and personal views of Mancom and the owners, dahil sila pa rin yung nasa taas, hindi nila ma-manage maigi. Anong po pwedeng advice para sa mga nasa HR pag super low na yung kanilang moral kasi yung mismong nasa top is questionable dahil meron silang mga favoritism at personal views?
Diyan pumapasok yung magpa-training ka. Tinatawag na conflict competence. Ano yung conflict competence? Favoritism is a source of conflict. In the long run, it will backfire on you. Baka yung inaalagaan mong mga favorite, yan din ang kakagat sa'yo. And ang tanong kasi dyan lagi, una, tama si Tina, di ba? Holding leaders more accountable. Yung mga leaders na yan ba, may-ari ng kumpanya? Kasi kung may-ari sila ng kumpanya, concern nila tumagal yung kumpanya, di ba? So if you tell them the truth that their actions will not be conducive to a very productive workplace, pag may-ari yan, automatic, business comes first more than may preference. Sa totoo lang, kadalasan favoritism comes not on the true owners. Yan yung mga middle managers. So, magsabi na tayo ng totoo, huwag na tayong kasi alam ko may-ari ako ng kumpanya Hindi ako magpapaborito kung ikalulubog ng buong kumpanya ko, diba? Normally, nangyayari yan yung mga nasa middle. Yung napagkakatiwalaan. Minsan nga, pinag-iinitan pa Bagong hire, kahit wala namang problema yung taong under niya na naabutan, tatanggalin, magpapasok ng bago. Hindi lang naman yan sa kumpanya, kahit sa government, diba? May mga tinatawag tayo, mga trust and confidence or mata or tao. I think that's the reason why HR should be there. Kasi kung alam mo na nangyayari itong politics na ganyan within the office at nagkakaroon ng favoritism, trabaho ng HR to make that unpopular stand. First, make that leader be held responsible. I-call out mo. Pag hindi nandala sa call out, i-ethics mo. Iakyat mo. Inaakyat ko yun Nag-aakyat ako Pag ang leaders makulit, inaakyat ko sa taas. Hindi kasi...
Ay, sorry. Go ahead po. Sorry
Sa
po.
akin lang, di ba you mentioned
kasi
that
talaga ako Stricto talaga
that the
ako.
people are parang demoralized because there is that situation out there. And I wonder, especially if you are an HR manager or a junior HR manager, isn't this the time that you take courage and speak up because you're doing the right thing?
Tama.
I've never seen an HR really terminated just because they spoke the truth and the hard truth and nothing but the truth. Na-terminate lang if you create a lot of unnecessary drama.
Yes.
So tama yung sinabi ni Ma'am Daisy, if there's favoritism, even if the person is more senior than you, what is the downside of you actually calling that person and telling them, boss, I just want to ask lang, is it your intention to show to others na pabor mo tong, manok mo ba tong, kunyari, si Diana? Kasi if it's not your intention, masyadong obvious kasi sa iba. Diba? I mean, to point it out talaga that this thing is happening. Of course, you say, no, hindi ko paborito si Diana. Well, kasi, ito yung nangyari. This one time, this who, what, where, when, how, why, and keep to the factual details. Kasi, management does not answer very well when you talk about your feelings.
Correct.
So when you say, for example, I feel bad because I feel that this person is your favorite. That, pag sinabi mong ganyan kasi, medyo, naaano ka na You're not no longer...
mag-aaway kayo kasi feeling mo lang yun, Tina.
Feeling mo lang yun, di ba? But you might want to double check if this is intentional or not.
Correct.
Or kung gusto, if it is intentional, at the very least, I think the boss has to be honest. Pinapaboran ko. So, di ba? And then at least, you already know where everything stands. You get to see the system more wider, and talaga, do you really want to stay in a company where no matter how hard you work, you will never get ahead because the favorite will always have a leg up than you. Lahat ng problema mo nakapikit, lahat ng pangit mo nakalabas. Whereas yung ikabila ng paborito nakatago. And I think it's good to approach that now than after 5 years or 10 years inside the company
Na
and being
malala na.
frustrated kung bakit never ka pa na-promote over ng paborito. Right?
Tsaka
Because
minsan
it-
naman kasi, Tina, minsan perception din yung paborito eh. 'Di ba? Kaya nga, tama yung sinabi mo. When people come to me, hindi ako pumupunta sa isang bagay nang wala akong bala. I will do my due
facts,
diligence.
oo.
And,
You have to talk
'di
about
ba?
facts eh. Oo.
Hindi pwede feeling. Tapos pangalawa, titingnan ko yung policy ko. Remember I told, isa sa mga tips ko, you teach people to be honest through your policy. Halimbawa, alam mo, may favoritism. Hindi mo mapatunayan dahil feeling nga. Tingnan mo, outlier ba to? Magkano ba binigay nito nung performance appraisal? Tingnan mo. Lahat 5. Dito lahat, ginawa niya, pantay-pantay. 5 din to, pero grabe ang markup. Kaya nga ang policy, dapat teaches them to be honest. Kasi ang trabaho ni HR, taga-point out ng mali. Sir, sa 4 na tao mo, 5 tilo lahat. Pero binigyan mo itong mga to, tagte 10% increase. Ito 3, nasa 20. Ganda mo naman, sir. Diba? Ganun ako talaga diretso. Anong story natin dito? Baka naman boyfriend mo to, baka girlfriend mo to, nagbibiro pa ang ganyan. That's why HR is the last touch. Tama yung sabi mo, Tina. You can be in a problem and even be in a problematic situation by standing for other people, pero hindi ka nila pwedeng tanggalin for being right. As long as alam mo trabaho mo, and as long as you document. There are times when kahit sinabi ko na lahat, kahit may batas pa akong supporting, makulit yung boss, alam mo ginagawa ko to cover myself, just to rephrase, boss, on email. After presenting to you ABC, after explaining to you the consequence of ABC, you still decided this is the final decision. And since you are my boss, and I can't do anything about it, just for the record, it is your decision with my recommendation against it. Alam mo nangyayari pag ginagawa nila, natatanggal sila ng trabaho kasi nagkakaroon ng investigation after kasi may legal cost, may legal consequence. Papatawag ako, ay, covered ako, sir. HR, your best friend is documentation. If all else fail, document. Bakit? Even if they terminate you for being right, yayaman ka. Ganun lang naman kasimple yun. That's why I like integrity. Kasi if you do what is right, you are basing it on good grounds and foundation. If you get into trouble and somebody retaliates against you for being right, yayamang ka. Di pa salamat, praise the Lord. Perspective lang yan. Perspective.
They see last words and then followed by me and Rona to close the show.
Ang dami, no? So I have Jing saying no compromise at work. Jing, has been with me also for several years already under Jesus Hug. So yan, alam nila how I work. The rest, I think, first off, thank you for inviting me over. And as always, whoever is watching on real time or on replay, take advantage of joining groups like PHRG, no? Because they give you validated information. Very important kasi ngayon yung the resource and the mentors that you're actually looking up into and getting your ideas from. Tama ang pag-iisip, seasoned over time, at tama yung information. Kasi pag napamali ka, ang dami na po kasing choices sa labas. Puro mga HR group, kung ano-anong group, di ba? Be wise in terms of who you deal with, who you associate yourself with, and take advantage on free learnings like these. Kasi yung mga ini-share namin sa inyo were things that were passed on over time. Why make mistakes when you can avoid mistakes because you have learned from our mistakes, diba? So take advantage of that. And second, and last but not least, never get tired of doing what is good. It may not appear always good for you, pero I would rather I do it the hard way but have the blessing of the Lord on high. Kasi si Lord, pag pinagpala ka naman yan for doing the right thing, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, mind could not fathom what the Lord has prepared for those who love Him. So, wag kang manghinayang sa pagiging mabait. In time, you will know it was the right decision to make. So that's it for me. Thank you for having me, as always. God bless everybody. And you can still be a very good HR in the workplace, yet still be a Christian nonetheless and be objective at it, because that is your definition of who you are. I, for one, do not want to be an undercover Christian already. Who I become now as a better version of myself has been grounded now because of the God I believe in. So to me, I think hindi ko pwedeng i-separate yun. It's one and the same. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
So many people use the words integrity, honesty, so broadly, so broadly, but not a lot of people follow it because it's not just a buzzword, it's also a way of life and how you actually live your life in a way that's in accordance to your principles. So many people don't take this as seriously kasi most people nagdidiskarte lang, bahala na si Batman. You know, kay sera-sera. But integrity is deliberate and it's something that you choose to do every single day. And it should be done constantly. Because a person, for example, diba, like even if you're very honest, tapos at the end of your life, nagnakaw ka, are you truly a man of integrity? And then everyone will say, well, because I'm a sinner, you know, and people make mistakes. Again, with that, are you a man of integrity? Because if a man of integrity knows that's not correct, you should have not done it. You don't do it and then make excuses afterwards. For me, integrity is something that nobody can take away from you. And integrity, the way you live your life, then you build your reputation. Sa totoo lang, we always talk highly of we have to be honest. But in truth, not everyone is. Not everyone is. And if anyone says they are, they're also being dishonest. Nagsisinungaling sila, right? It's a struggle. It's not easy to live with integrity. It's not easy to do the right thing because it's more expensive and unpopular. And on short term, it seems like the worst decision you can make. But if you choose to live with integrity, because so little people choose to do that, mukhang marami eh. Kasi, di ba, usually yung mga guest experts namin, ay, alam ko mga maprinsipyo mga tao yan eh. Pero if you look at the 282,000 members of the PHRG, I'm sure that these are the creme of the crop na talaga. Most people are dishonest than honest. So I guess this choice is ours eh. When will we live with integrity? When will we choose to do so? Kasi it's so easy na lang na magkasala hanggang matanda ka na. Tapos later on, you pray for forgiveness kasi pareho lang din. At least nakapag-enjoy ka naman, 'di ba? Nakapag-good time ka na. You garnered a lot of wealth honestly. You were able to enjoy so many women, so many vices, and then later on bago ka mamatay, magpa-pray ka na, Lord, I'm a sinner, forgive me. Even in our prayer for forgiveness, we're also being dishonest kasi we don't mean it. We're just saying it because we want to go to heaven. But we're not really truly remorseful because we forget what is right and what is wrong. So I guess the takeaway for me is this: integrity is a challenge, and those who do very well in the HR field always have that. If you don't have it, maybe it's the right time for us to choose to have it na, because it's really a habit. And if you don't build that habit, it's easier for you to do what is wrong than what is right. And how can you, and HR kasi is very managerial, and no matter what you say, it's a managerial position, it's a leadership position. Very integral in the company because you manage labor relations and how employees start, are in, and finish. If, for example, you can't live with integrity, maybe don't be an HR instead. Marami namang posisyon dyan na pwede kang mandaya, di ba? But I think it's worse kasi if you're an HR and then you're dishonest. Because if the leaders are already dishonest, then how about the people who will follow you? Napakalaki talagang responsibility ang leadership role, right? If you can't do it correctly, if you are not worth of the position, give it to somebody else. Kasi baka dahil corrupt ka, dahil nagnanakaw ka. So many people say, ay, si ma'am naman kasi ginagawa niya. So okay lang. It's worse enough if you do the bad things. It's even worse if you cause other people to do bad things because they're just following your example. Right? If that's the case, wag ka na maging HR. Baka maging sales manager ka na lang. Alam mo yung mga, may mga ibang posisyon naman yung pwedeng mong, yung mga mabola, di ba? Or mga marketing or what. Wag na HR. Kasi in HR, you need to be, you need to be blameless, sinless. You need to be as honest as you possibly can. You can still make mistakes. That happens because we're human. But don't do it intentionally. Kasi lahat ng tao tumitingin sa atin, and how we decide really shapes the way our organizations are made. No matter what the position is. Kahit na rank and file kang HR, live with integrity, because I think you cannot be a good HR if you don't have that. You really can't. 'Di ba? Kahit anong posisyon pwede, wag lang HR. Kasi nakakasira 'yan sa ibang tao. 'Yan. Ay, Rona.
Unpopular opinion. People would often say it's better to be kind than to be right. But I think kindness and being right go together. We only say it's better to be kind than to be right when we are actually just being lazy. That's actually my unpopular opinion. People who say that they are actually being lazy. Na they would rather give in just because it's hard to make a stand. That for me is hindi talaga being kind, but it's just being lazy. Integrity comes with kindness, comes with accountability. You cannot have integrity if you are not kind, and if you don't hold people and yourself accountable. Bakit? Being integrity kasi is doing things right. And when you are doing things right, it comes with you're also taking into consideration the impact of the actions that you're going to take, which is about being kind. So magkakasama yung tatlong yan palagi. And tayo as HR, minsan sinasabi natin na I want to be kind to the employees, when in reality, gusto lang natin pagtakban yung inability natin to make a stand. As HR, tama yung sinabi ni Mentor Tina, tama yung sinabi ni Miss Daisy kanina, na we need to speak up. We need to really stand up. We need to be firm with whatever needs to be implemented, which also means that we need to have strength of character. And I think a lot of people have problems with that because in the first place, they don't know kung ano yung kanilang values. So ano muna yung values mo? Ano yung pinaniniwalaan mo? Ano yung belief mo? Now, some people might think na, and especially those who are, let's say, non-practicing or who are not really religious, having integrity and holding yourself accountable may touch on being religious, may touch on your beliefs, pero hindi ibig sabihin na, let's say, you are an atheist. It doesn't mean that you can't have integrity. It all goes back, ano ba yung values mo? Ano ba yung sa tingin mo tama? And tama means that you are not unkind. You hold yourself accountable, you are honest, and you know na wala kang natatapakan. And that is very important for us as HR. So, ang integrity, hindi ito kasi iniisip ng iba na, I have integrity. Hindi nga lang ganun kataas. No, integrity is an either or. You either have it or you don't. It's a value. Para yung honesty. It's either you're honest or you're not. Ganun lang yan. Okay? So, bilang mga HR, iisipin natin palagi yun na I am a position of trust. I have a position of trust. I am in a position of trust. And therefore, I have to have integrity. I have to hold myself accountable because that is how I can be kind to both the organization and the employees. So, iisipin natin palagi yun. And I am very happy with the topic that we have for today because I think I am also a firm believer that some of the HR professionals or some of the HR practitioners that we have right now actually lack integrity. I do have, I actually just spoke to one of my friends yesterday, and alam mo yung super mind blown to learn of some people na I thought had integrity, na sila pa yung nangunguna doon sa hindi paggawa ng tama. So tayo bilang HR, we really need to have that. And the topic that we have today is very important for us to realize na kailangan ibalik natin yung integrity, kailangan matuto ulit tayo na i-hold yung mga sarili natin accountable. Tama si Mentor Tina, we'll make mistakes, but what do we do when we make mistakes? If we cover it up, I can tell you ngayon pa lang, wala kang integrity. But if you know that pag nagkamali ka, you hold yourself accountable and you try to learn from it and you try to correct it, most likely you have integrity. Okay? So ayan mga kapatid, isa na naman pong Sunday ang natapos, ang lalim ng ating usapan. Napakaganda talaga ng topic natin today. And thank you so much Miss Daisy for guesting. Ang dami kong natutunan for today and I am very happy to see na kahit papano there are still a lot of HR professionals that really want to make a difference in the industry, in their companies, in what they are doing. And I do hope that these people talagang they would practice that, they would hold on to that kind of personality, that kind of belief. And talaga may nila, mapaunlad nila at mabago nila how we do HR here in the Philippines. Thank you so much everyone sa mga tumambay po hanggang sa ngayon. Maraming salamat po. Monday na naman bukas, so kailangan natin mag-prepare. Ingatan po natin ang ating mga sarili. We'll see you next Sunday para sa isa na naman pong episode ng HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay, Iba Pa. Maraming salamat po and we'll see you everyone next Sunday. Bye everyone! Thank you so much. Bye!